live off in three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. This is a late evening live. As I've promised you, we're probably going to have a lot of these evening lives that are a little bit off culture, mainly because the election is only 89 days away. So a lot of new things are happening. Don't know what the hell I got beeping in the background. A lot of new things are happening, and the material continues to come in hot and heavy. So tonight we're going to be talking about Trump's press conference. All I can say is, wow. Trump had a press conference today, and it's likely to be as some might suggest, a gift that keeps on giving. So we're going to talk about Trump's press conference. I do have to ask you guys just to hang on 1 second. I got sounds like a washer or something in the background that is continuing to beep. So let me go fix this. Give me about 10 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, did not like the beeping, so I had to disconnect the washer. I don't know if something's going wrong with the cabling with it, but let me get the show going. All right, so Trump had a press conference today. And as I stated, it appears that it might just be the gift that keeps on giving. But there's no shortage of folks who often suggest that President Trump is taken out of context, or folks are suggesting that he didn't mean what liberals are translating his speeches, his statements to be. You know, everything from good people on both sides to what else has he said? Vote, if you vote for me this time, you'll never have to vote again. It's all taken out of context. So tonight we're going to analyze the speech that he had just today. I want to hear from MAGA in particular. You know how the program is. It is always MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So tonight is the night I'd prefer to hear from a hell of a lot of MAGA. I want to know what this speech actually meant. Now, you see him on the screen behind me. We're going to be probably analyzing at least a half dozen of his statements. Number one being, he is claiming that in 2020, despite what took place on January 6th, in 2020, that, in his opinion, was a peaceful transition of power. So, in other words, really, there was nothing to be alarmed about. In 2020, that was actually a peaceful, I got a commercial queuing up here, but that was actually a peaceful transition of power. So what I want to do is, and like I said, we're not going to play any clips from some news organization or anything. This stuff is going to be coming directly from Trump because I want to hear your opinion on it. And we'll continue tackling this and taking calls as the show goes on. So here is the first clip we're going to be analyzing. January 20th, or better yet, January 6th, you've seen what happened. But the 2020 election, going from Trump to Biden, was a peaceful transition of power, according to Trump.
At the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all. Okay?
Now, do you guys believe that last time in 2020 that was a peaceful transfer of power? I want to get that from you folks. Do you believe what took place in 2020 was a peaceful transfer of power? Because that is what Trump is suggesting. Wow. And like I said, this is literally a case of the hits keep on coming. So we're going to be tackling all of this. Understand, folks, how the program is ran. We do not block, ban or censor anyone for their commentary. You did not have to agree with anyone in the comment section. You damn sure don't have to agree with the host. It's all about free speech here. We do allow the people to have their say. But continuing on, now, January 6th, we mentioned a peaceful transfer of power and questioning whether that actually happened as Trump stated. But in addition to whether it was a peaceful transfer of power, President Trump also was suggesting that nobody lost their life on January 6th. No one lost their life on January 6th. Queued up right at the question.
What's your question?
Yeah, you're not going to hear the question, but
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly.
Nobody was killed on January 6th. And I agree with you in the comments, King Mo. He forgot about his own supporter. Nobody was killed on January 6th. I don't even know where to go with that. Wow. But like I stated, we're going to be analyzing this whole speech, taking callers the whole time. When I say the hits keep on coming, I really mean it, folks. He said a lot of things. Now, this one here is notable.
I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah,
more
please.
people. Yikes! More people showed up to hear President Trump's speech than Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Wow! So I'm going to go back. I got a couple more, but I want to go to the box. I want to hear from. Wow, that is way out there. Moo. Wow, I don't even know what to say. Good evening, Moo.
Holy hell, man. Holy hell. Yeah, so, we need to break out that dementia test again, my dude, because I think it's gotten worse. I think the man-woman camera TV is not good enough anymore, and we need to take it a level deeper, you know what I mean? Because it's crazy right now.
Wow. You know, the crazy thing is this Biden that allegedly doesn't know where he's at, can't read without a teleprompter, can't string together two sentences. I'd submit to you after hearing his speech, Trump probably would do better with a teleprompter and someone assisting the writing of his speeches, because he went way off the rails on this.
I mean, dude, so the thing is right, so Trump is losing his mind, right? Because he's trying everything with Harris and Walz, and he's just not getting anywhere, you know what I mean? And like I told you at this point, many polls are starting to shift. And Trump does not like it when the polls start to shift. It literally drives him insane, man. So you're watching a man drowned. You're watching a man lose his mind right now. I mean, it's funny, but it's kind of crazy at the same time, right? Because this dude wants to be president, but he's like a total mental case, man.
Well,
He's
speaking of, well,
he's like Nixon, right? Soon he'll be talking to pictures on the wall.
I hope not. But it's not just, now I got what I believe is a Trump supporter in the comments on YouTube. Damian H says, I can't listen to this shit, Tim. Too much delusion, I'll check back later. So there are folks that don't want to hear this speech repeated.
I mean, so again, this guy has literally lost his mind at this point, right? And he's always been unstable because the guy likes to nuke hurricanes, right? He likes to do Muslim bans. He likes to do abortion bans. He likes to do all these crazy, crazy things, you know what I mean? He literally gets up on stage and says, blame me for the border bill, and then when people blame him for the border bill, his supporters get mad that we're blaming him, even though he told us to. There's just so much shit. It's like 8 years worth of garbage at this point, and I really think America is fed up with this dude. And at this point, you have two people running against him that so Governor Walz has implemented real policies in his state, right? And they have a $3.7 billion surplus this year. So, you can look at Walz's record of all the programs he's done for the middle class and see that his state has a balanced budget. And you can understand why Trump is scared, because Trump doesn't have any. So Trump blew up the deficit, right? Trump doesn't know how to make programs without causing extreme amounts of debt. This is a huge problem for him, and Walz is going to exploit that because Trump is not good at the economy. What Trump did was he created tariffs and he did tax cuts for the rich, and both of these things drove up the country's inflation. So what you saw Trump's economic policies start to take effect, because it always takes time for people's economic policies to have real effects on the economy. And thankfully, America voted him out before his policies could do any serious damage.
Well, the folks on the
ground back for the American people.
Well, the folks on the right, the folks on the right, including President Trump earlier in his speech, states that the people did not vote him out. He had the election stolen from him. What say you?
Yeah, but he's been saying that for 8 years, and 60 court cases later, and now he's a 34-time felon. Like I said, man, Trump said himself against Michael Cohen that you can't really believe a felon, right? So I'm going to take Trump's word in that you can't believe a felon, you can't believe a criminal and a liar. Trump said it himself when Michael Cohen was convicted. So if Trump says that I shouldn't believe a felon and a liar, I'm going to take him at his word for that, and I'm not going to believe him either then, right?
Well, but Trump is suggesting, and I think even some liberals believe that the felonies that Trump has right now, they are a bit overstated. A lot of folks believe that if Trump wasn't in his position running for the nation's highest office, he would not have been charged with that stuff.
So the guy that just unalived those two innocent women and went to jail, he has all those gang tattoos on his face, right?
Yeah.
You know the guy. So there are some people think that he led a hard life and that he's an innocent man and that he should not be on.
Oh, damn.
That's... Okay, so here's the thing, right? There are always morons, right? There are always morons who say that these people should be taken seriously. That these people, Trump is a lunatic, okay? And there are always people who are in favor of lunatics, okay?
What makes you say he's a lunatic?
It's a fascist lunatic movement.
Wait a minute, I can't just let you throw that out there. What makes you say he's a lunatic? I can't just let you throw that out there. What makes you say he's a lunatic?
So only a lunatic thinks that you can inject disinfectants into your bloodstream, and he wanted his people to test that, right, to see if it would work. Only a lunatic thinks you can put UV rays into the skin and test that out on people and think it'll work. Only a lunatic thinks that you can nuke a hurricane and thinks that that'll work. Only a lunatic tries to change the direction of a hurricane and thinks that that'll work. Only a lunatic takes you out of a nuclear deal with Iran that guarantees that they won't be able to get nuclear weapons. Only a lunatic moves the embassy to Jerusalem because a Zionist gave him $100 million. Only a lunatic politicizes a vaccine. Only a lunatic tries to blackmail the president of Ukraine. Only a lunatic, tries to profit off of the American office because he wants to build hotels in Moscow. Only a lunatic would do deals with Felix Sater and create a huge building in the middle of New York where they house Russian gangsters. Only a lunatic would hire a cocaine dealer as
Okay, all right. Time out. I see you can go on all night long. So it's safe to say that you're still undecided between him and Kamala?
Yeah, man. So the thing is right. Like I said, man, Walz did the largest infrastructure investment in Minnesota's history. He also did the largest tax credit, I think, in the nation, right? So this guy so he doesn't just talk, right? He gets things done, and he gets things done with a split Senate, right? Which means.
But why would he lie and say he was in combat? He said he carried the rifle in combat. That's a lie.
I don't care about. Listen, you have to understand something, right? I don't care about Trump's narratives because he's a draft dodger, right? And you're talking about a guy who has 24 years of service. So I just ignore this narrative altogether. You have to understand the things I'm worried about are policy, and MAGA can't offer you that, right? And the things they do offer you are like getting rid of public education, right? Whereas opposite to that, Walz gave all the kids, and not just in private schools, right? This is, or not just public schools, private schools and charter schools. Kids have free breakfast and lunch now, okay? MAGA wants to take away public education, whereas Walz did the biggest investment in public education in Minnesota history. Walz did a tax cut every year that he was governor in Minnesota.
Wait, where is your evidence? Where's your evidence? Hold on, where's your evidence that MAGA wants to, or Trump wants to take away public education? Where are you getting that from?
It's in Project 2025. They want to eliminate the Department of Public Education.
Okay. Well, he's claiming he doesn't have anything to do with Project 2025.
So do you really think a person who takes public education seriously hires Betsy DeVos?
All right, I'll give you the win on that. All right. But he said he don't have anything to do with Project 2025.
Yeah, but the thing is they don't read Project 47, which is exactly the same. So much like Trump, his supporters don't read, right? So Project 47 is Project 2025. They're exactly the same.
You mean agenda? Agenda 47.
Trump converses with the Heritage Foundation, right? Like his name's all over that shit. He talks about them all the time. He takes money from these people. They're like one of the most massive Republican think tanks in history, right? You know the funny thing about the Heritage Foundation is they have a running database of voter fraud, and the most of the fraud that the Heritage Foundation lists was done by Republicans. I find it amazing that the largest think tank in the world, the largest Republican think tank in the world, shows that Republicans commit most of the voter fraud since like 1992, I think it is, in their database. That's crazy.
All right, Moo, you've pissed off half the audience. Always a pleasure talking to you, though. I do got to move it on.
You have a good one.
All right, and he's a lunatic. Wow. So what we're talking about tonight, obviously, as you may see on the back of my screen behind me, and we don't block, ban, or censor anyone, so understand you're going to hear opinions left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with Q now. We do believe in letting everyone speak. So understand that my last guest may lean left, the next guest may be far right. You don't have to agree with anybody on this damn program. That's how it's ran. It's all about free speech. However, we are playing some of Trump's interesting discussion for the speech he had. He had a press conference today. I want to give you, before we move on with the program, I want to give you another clip because we're going to be analyzing it, but it certainly leaves one to ask the question, what exactly did he mean? So we'll take another one of his statements. Hang on a second. Obviously, I don't have my equipment already turned up, but we're analyzing his speech from this afternoon. Looks like it was about an hour and 5 minutes entirely, but here's another one.
That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. You know, if you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed. But not even shot at.
No, we had 18, he said for 18 months. Now, under Trump, we were still in Afghanistan. A botched evacuation with the loss of 13 U.S. personnel happened under Biden's watch. So the entire time Trump was in office, we had service personnel in Afghanistan. He's suggesting that for 18 months, not a single one of them were shot at. for 18 months. Now I'm assuming that there probably would be some veterans or some active duty service personnel that would tell you they were definitely being shot at for 18 months. Not one person was shot at. That is an amazing feat. Let me go back to the box. Certainly would like to speak to some MAGA on this because I'm curious to see the opinion on this. We'll go to Randy. Good afternoon, Randy. Welcome to the program. Randy.
What are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear from you again.
Absolutely. A pleasure having you back on. 18 months. Nobody shot at all. You think that's accurate?
You know, I can't tell you if that's accurate or not because I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you something I don't know.
18 months in a war zone and nobody gets shot at. Does it sound accurate?
It doesn't sound accurate, but I was going to ask you a question again.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Can you name one policy that Kamala Harris has without mentioning Trump?
Oh yeah, she's going to I can name you a lot of them. She's going to codify women's right to choose. That's probably the biggest one women are looking forward to. I mean, she believes in common sense gun laws that a lot of folks on the right think are stupid, but that is a policy. I mean, she believes in universal health care, which a lot of folks on the right think is expensive and unaffordable, but it is a policy. She has a lot of policies.
So you're telling me that she's going to reverse the Supreme Court with why is it such a big deal with this Supreme Court moving the abortion laws to the state? I mean, a lot of states have where you can have an abortion, other ones have where you can't. If you don't believe in the law that your state's in, just move out of the state.
Well, you would be understanding that everybody can't just move, right? I mean, if your entire family, if you grew up in Miami, your grandma, your mom lives in Miami, and all of a sudden you get pregnant, you want that person to just leave everything they knew because Trump came in and gave the state the power to do something different? Is that insensitive a little bit at least?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled on that to move it to the states.
Yeah, but who is taking credit for giving the Supreme Court the ability to do that?
I mean, do you want the federal government to run everything and make every decision that we have? Don't we have rights as individuals to have our state where we live? We vote in our politicians in our state to make decisions on the way that we believe. I mean, it can't just all be about the federal government.
No, but you do realize that Lindsey Graham, Mike Pence, I believe Mitch McConnell and President Trump all are on the record as saying that the abortion could go federal. They have all said it at one time or another that these abortion bans could go federal. So you're talking about states' rights, but the leaders of the party are making it clear it could go federal.
Well, you know, the only thing I can say, the only thing I can say is that
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
I'm not as sharp as you are.
It's all good. You ain't doing nothing wrong. You ain't doing nothing wrong. Take your time.
I'm an old guy.
Right. So.
I guess I just don't see why we are at such odds with each other when if we all believe in Jesus Christ and God, that he says we're all created equal, and we shouldn't be at such odds over such things like abortion and we should be loving each other and
well, wait. First of all, you do understand in a country of 350 million people from all walks of life that everybody don't believe in Jesus Christ, correct?
Well, I don't mean I'm sorry I said that. I just mean in a higher power. I mean, obviously we didn't create ourselves.
Everybody doesn't believe in a higher power either, Randy.
So, wow. Okay, well, I guess
I'm just telling you. Everybody doesn't believe in that.
I love you, man. I'm going to let you get somebody up there that's a little more intelligent than I am.
Hey, you're doing fine, man. You're doing fine. I'm glad to talk to you. You're always welcome back. We don't have to agree. That's how the program is ran, man. So don't worry about that. My door is always open to you.
Well, I love you, man. You're a good man. Thank you.
It's an honor talking to you. Come on back anytime. Moving the program on. And by the way, that's how it works, folks. This is how free speech works. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. We damn sure don't talk down the guest or dictate how you should think. It's all about hearing what you have to say. By the way, folks, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, you're in the right place. I'd invite you to follow the program if you're on TikTok. Certainly a subscription on YouTube if you will. We're here generally Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central, 1300 hours, but because of the ongoing news cycle, we're doing a lot of evening lives as well because it is constantly new stuff coming in because the news cycle is moving so fast. Only 89 days till election day. So continuing the program on, I do appreciate some of you folks that are following the program on TikTok. I wish you'd get a picture of Kennedy behind you. I tell you this, in 89 days, Kennedy will be irrelevant. Kennedy currently is polling at 5%. There is no hope for Kennedy. 5%. I'm just going to repeat that. There is no hope. It's not even worth the money going out and buying a non-gloss picture of Kennedy, the candidate. It's just not going to happen. Looking in the comments, but Walz said it well. Mind your own damn business. That is true. Tim Walz, vice presidential candidate, in reference to the LGBT community issues and the woman's right to choose. Mind your own damn business. That is an interesting quote that Tim Walz is the author of. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Going to one of my subscribers, we give those first dibs. Trig, good afternoon, or good evening, welcome to the program.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. So what do you think? Trump, did you catch any of that speech he had today?
Is that what we calling it right now?
Well, it is a speech. You may disagree with a few points here and there, but it is indeed a speech.
I mean, I didn't hear him answer any questions, and the reporters that were in there was giving him just, man, softball questions. Like, don't throw him no fast pitch stuff because he ain't ready for that.
You think those are softball questions? What were they supposed to ask him?
I mean, ask him how you feel about him constantly lying about he had more people than Martin Luther King in 63.
Well, before you continue on, because some folks may have not heard that, let's take a 20-second revamp of exactly what you're talking about.
To that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people.
What do you do with that? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? More people than the I Have a Dream speech.
So let's be real honest, Tim. Now, you got eyes. You can see, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, let's keep it real. Now, let's keep it real. You got eyes. You can see. People were all in the trees back then in 63.
Well,
this guy, he constantly saying he has more people than King did for the I Have a Dream speech. I mean, that's like a slap in the face for every black American in this country.
yeah.
Are you serious right now?
I wish he would. Well, I would tell you what's likely to happen. If he is sincere in his belief that he had more folks there than Martin Luther King, you should start seeing memes and videos, at least coming from the Trump side of the aisle, showing overlays of those black and white gatherings compared to his speech. I'm assuming they're going to start showing some evidence of that.
Tim, do you remember when Obama, you're from Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
You remember how many people was in Grant Park?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
That, right?
Yes, sir. I do. It was packed all the way out of the park, Lakeshore Drive, you name it. Yes, sir.
You couldn't even get down Lakeshore Drive or Michigan Avenue at the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why did Donald Trump say he had more people than Obama did at the time?
Well, if he had more people than Martin Luther King, I mean, we know Farrakhan in '95 had the Million Man March. Then I guess it's safe to assume Trump has brought more people to Washington than any other man in existence. I'm just playing. I'm just playing it back. That's all I'm doing.
Tim, you know what? I watch you every day, and I love the fact that you play devil's advocate every day.
Thank you.
And I like the fact that, man, you give people a platform to say what they need to say or however they want to say it, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we just gotta call a spade a spade. Don't sit here and think that you got a handful of spades and you're gonna run a Boston on somebody and you got a gang of hearts. Come on, stop that.
But how about this though? How about this? In the comments on YouTube, Rapid Fire says, "Fuck what he says. What does his policy say?" In other words, let the man say whatever the hell he wants. If he's running this country the proper way, that should be your focus. What say you?
All right, so now let me just say this. I hear everybody saying, oh, I just had so much money when Trump was in office. So let me address that, right? Yes, we got 2 checks that basically we wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So if you talking about you got money because you couldn't go to work, but you still got checks in your mailbox, and that made you feel like you got more money, so be it. But for people like me, who at the time I was still a teacher and still working at a dialysis clinic, and I was basically a worker that had to go to work because people had to have dialysis.
You were what they refer to as, what were they calling them, an essential employee?
An essential employee, correct.
Yeah, I was too. I was an essential employee too.
And guess what? And it didn't stop none of my money.
Fair enough.
Not a quarter. So, I mean, I get that people are saying, yo, Trump gave us money, man. We had more money. Yes, you had pandemic money.
He didn't just give you money. The checks were signed by him. So he did give us some. Go ahead.
But wait. But the following year, when you got that money, you had to put it on your taxes.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't like it was free money.
Well, it was income, though, Trig. I mean, that's how it works.
It was income, and people who wasn't making any money at the time, yes, I'm sure that they were totally grateful. All right? I was totally grateful, too, because I worked and still got the money. All right? I mean, I'm not mad about that. But what I'm saying is, don't sit here and start saying that, man, I just got so much money when Trump was in.
But that's not what they're talking about, Trick. I got to move it on. But they're talking about under Trump, the economy was better. Now, they're not talking about the pandemic, by the way, also. They're talking about the first 3 years of his presidency before the pandemic. They're saying that the economy was much better. They could afford gas. They could afford groceries. Inflation was lower. They could actually buy and spend more. That's what they're talking about. I'll give you the last word.
You know, it's amazing how people, totally forget that Donald Trump sat here and Obama, gave us, some sort of a way that, we can be fiscally responsible. And then all of a sudden, we have to go into $1 trillion worth of debt because of him. Because of him wanting to give all of his cronies a gang of money, a gang of tax breaks, whatever. Look, give them money because they need it, and it's a trickle down. And trickle down ain't worked since Reagan was in office then, and it don't work now.
All right. All right, Trig. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. Good talk. Come on back anytime.
Look here. Good to hear from you. I'll stop by anytime.
My sentiments is that appreciate it. Looking in the comments now. Certainly, we want to hear from some folks on the right side of the aisle because obviously we're addressing Trump, and it's not uncommon for folks to suggest that Trump is taken out of context. So be curious to hear from some Trump supporters, particularly MAGA, in regards to some of these statements coming from President Trump. By the way, I haven't solicited this evening, but tap the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Smaller crowd, probably because ain't nobody tapping the damn screen, but it helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA when you get the likes up. So on TikTok, get the likes up to about 25,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Same thing on YouTube. Both of my platforms are set to address MAGA. So it brings in more MAGA, but liberals are welcome as well. Smash that like button on YouTube, if you will. An impressive number of you folks here on YouTube, about 3 times as many on YouTube than TikTok. So that's interesting, but I do appreciate you folks that are tuned in. We're addressing Trump's press conference today and simply asking, was he taken out of context? Trying to clear up a few things. I see in the comments, Ken says policy over everything. Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with putting actions over words. But at the end of the day, words do not get zero concern. Words do matter, at least to some degree. Remember Obama? You got to spread the wealth around. And he was speaking to Joe the plumber, and a hell of a lot of folks stated, this guy is trying to be a socialist. Do not elect him. That was just words. At the time, there was no policy to go with it. He hadn't even gotten elected yet. Remember George H.W. Bush, read my lips, no new taxes. Those are words at that point. Words matter. That's the point we're trying to make. Words matter. You can't just say whatever you want to say and expect no recourse to it. Now, policies are obviously likely to be more important, but words can certainly affect people. So the idea that words should not matter at all is a bit questionable. And to some degree, I believe it's kind of like trying to throw Trump an olive branch because his words often are hurting him, which I want to go into this one here because we were talking about the price of fuel, which almost everybody believes was better under Trump. I know I could fill my gas tank up cheaper and, with less worry, at least in terms of my wallet, during the Trump years. But hear what Trump said about gas prices today. He's been.
Yeah. The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago.
Real quick, 50, 60. Are you paying, anybody out there paying 50 to 70% more for groceries than 2 years ago? 70%. Wow. Continuing on, though.
Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where gasoline's gone from $1.87, $1.87, and we had moments when it was below that. but it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and $7.
Now, real quick, once again, does anyone, and by the way, state your city. If you've seen gas prices go from $1.87 to as much as $7 per gallon in one town, name any place in America where somebody can say, I'm standing right here, and under Trump's administration, we were paying about $1.87 a gallon, and now under Biden, we're paying $7. This is what he's stating. Now, I see in the comments, a lot of folks are saying yes. In San Diego, now I see in the comments, Christina, shout out to my female Republicans. I always give a shout out to my female MAGA because everybody says the females are going to go liberal, but we get a lot of female MAGA, and they're certainly welcome in the program. Christina P as in Papa, says San Diego. When was gas $1.87 in San Diego? Now, it may have reached $7 because California has some really expensive gas, but when was it $1.87 under Trump's term? He said gas went from $1.87 or even lower to $7 a gallon. I would submit to you, it sounds like he's probably taking gas at its lowest in maybe Dallas in 2016, comparing gas in some of the lowest cities like Dallas and places like that in 2016, and comparing it to gas prices in some of America's highest places like California or Hawaii in 2024. Because he's essentially saying gas has increased about 4 times under the Biden administration, about 4 times the price. That's a wild assertion. One more time. I can't believe it.
I like this guy. I like him.
Okay, well,
yeah. The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago. Look at...
I don't... Now, some of you folks said yes to that statement. Are you paying 70% more for groceries than in 2022? 70%. Give me the town you live in, or the state, or whatever, as close as you want to get. 70% more for groceries. Where are you located? 70% more. That's significant. Wow. Colorado. Now somebody said Colorado, Spooner, Wisconsin, 70%. And I guess I'd have to ask, are we suggesting that Biden did that? What policies did Biden implement that is responsible for making gas go up 70%? Wow. Going back to the box, that is huge. That is a huge increase. Marine Mom, I love the name. Thank you for your service. Marine Mom might be the one to talk to about Tim Walz. Marine, good evening.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Now, I'm assuming you know when I say Tim Walz what I'm getting at.
I do.
What's your opinion? It's stolen valor?
It is. I mean, I respect him for his service and for his tenure, for sure. But, I've seen the video where he explicitly said that he had carried
a rifle in combat.
In war. He said, I carried weapons in war, and he did not actually fight in war. So that is stolen valor by definition. And also, he has been for the past 2 decades claiming that he was the command sergeant major, and he actually was demoted upon retirement, but yet continued to say that, which is also stolen.
Why did he get demoted upon retirement?
Well, he did not complete. There was a two years of education he had to do in order to actually get that rank and stay in that rank in order to get the benefits and the title. And he did not complete it. When he left and retired, which I don't fault him for that. I know that some people do. But when he left, he opted out of doing that then, because he would need 2 more years to do it. And in order to do that, he would have had to have gone to Iraq.
Where have you heard? I've talked to literally hundreds of people. Many of them do not like Walz for any damn thing. You're the first I've ever heard suggest he's lying about his rank when he exited the military. Where have you heard? Where did you hear this from?
Actually, the National Guard actually had to correct him. So you can look, and the Guard has actually come out and said no, he did not. He did not retire as a command sergeant major. He retired as a master sergeant. So yeah, you can go ahead and Google it or.
You're the first to say that. That's news to me.
It's just disturbing. Like I said, I mean, I don't. Again, he definitely did 24 years in the Guard. That's commendable. I don't want to take anybody's service away from them, but if you were military and somebody claims two things that are untrue, I mean, unfortunately, look, there is the Stolen Valor Act of 2013. And if you look at that Stolen Valor Act of 2013, what it says specifically, it includes people who claim to be in war or even lead someone to believe that they fought in war when they have not. And actually, if we were going to get, and we know this will never happen, and I wouldn't even recommend it happening. It's almost hard to stomach right now as it is anyway. But if you were to really go by what that act says, then he would be criminally held right now. So because of it, so that's rough. You know what I mean?
Just for that one sentence, I carried a gun in war. That one sentence would be enough to go after him.
Yeah, because he didn't correct himself, but apparently he said it more than that too. It's been something he's been saying at different speeches. And you just can't do that because that really discredits people who have fought in combat. Mm-hmm. And so this has nothing to do with Trump or Kamala. This has nothing to do with either of them. This has to do with Tim Walz and the fact that he has not come out and corrected it. And honestly, didn't correct it for 20 years. Do you know what I mean? He left in 2005 and he's been using it ever since. That's not right.
Yeah, and I see on YouTube, it seems what you're saying does have some accuracy to it. It said he did in fact achieve that rank, which was command sergeant major, but personnel files show he was reduced in rank months after retirement that left him as a master sergeant for benefits purposes. So apparently his rank is lower. I haven't heard him saying what his rank is, but what you're saying sounds accurate.
Listen, it's bad because it was posted on Minnesota's their site for the governor forever, and I cannot believe that he just allowed it to be there. Plus, he also has stated it. In fact, it gets worse because his actual commanding officer, who is a command sergeant major, who took over for him. Actually, he didn't even take over for him. He actually was his command. He actually has come out and spoken about it, and he, of course, is much more upset with him about it than most vets and military are, because of course he said it, he had gone around him to in a hierarchy of command, which is a no-no. That's a no-no. But again, that to me is hearsay. I don't know. I can't believe that because it's not in writing.
Okay, I will respond by saying this, and I know a lot of my beloved MAGA. And by the way, I see your comment, Mr. Twinkle, that says they blame Biden on inflation so we can blame Trump for one of the worst jobs in history. I don't know if that's true. I think Trump's job numbers, 3.5% unemployment rate, actually was the best at that time. So I think his job numbers were actually pretty good, Mr. Twinkle. Appreciate your support, but I believe he had really good jobs numbers. Biden beat those job numbers, but Trump's job numbers were really good. But what I wanted to say to you, Marine Mom, is I think that when we look at what looks like lies that Tim Walz has told, at the end of the day, I'm sorry to say, I don't think it's going to matter, because I think folks are going to look at that. I hate to deflect to Trump, but they're going to say, look, Trump gets away with exaggerating everything. He exaggerated his rank. I think that folks are going to, you may have some people in the military that don't like it, but I think overall, when you consider Trump, I know more about the war on the ground than the generals. I know more about COVID than anybody. Trump has exaggerated so many things, and folks have forgiven it. To hold Walz accountable for exaggerating a few things and ignore all of the stuff that Trump did, I don't think you're going to get the Democratic Party to do that.
You just asked me my opinion.
Yeah, and I appreciate you. I'm just simply,
I'm just giving you my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at him outside of the military, the one thing that actually very much concerns me is, you know, what he's done in his own state, right? He had signed life altering surgeries to any minor in Minnesota, with really no rights for parents, and has said he would take, you know, custody of a child if they were denied that right.
How does that
That's
work? So if how does that work? So if a 13, 14-year-old wants to have a sex change, you're saying the parents don't have a right to say anything about it?
I would urge you to look up that policy because it's signed into law.
So who's going to pay for it? The 14-year-old don't have health care, don't have any money.
I can't even tell you that, but if they're taking custody of a child away, then it really wouldn't matter because the state could pay for it, could they not?
I think if that was the case, we'd have heard about that, certainly from the right. Like Fox News would have been talking about this a long time before Tim Walz ran. I don't know.
Talking about it.
Huh?
They are talking about it. they really have kind of ignored him a little bit until now, but they are definitely talking about it.
Is there any children that did it?
I don't know. I would have to look into that. It's a fairly new law. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was 2023. So I don't know if anything has happened since, right?
Okay.
I would have to look into that. And honestly, because they're children, it may be because of HIPAA, it may be private as well.
Yeah, I can't imagine a 13, 14-year-old kid. I mean, have we actually given anyone in this country under the age of 15 a sex change operation? Has it happened to anyone at all, anywhere in the nation?
I don't know, but the losing your right as a parent scares the hell out of me. I mean, because again, I know my son, I'll just give you an example. My son at 15 decided it was a good idea to dye half of his head black and the other half orange. And then he ended up with that on his license for a very long time and regretted it later. So kids do stupid shit, right? Let's just be honest, they do dumb things.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, and I agree with you 100%, kids do dumb things, but I mean, if we can allow a child to you know, go out and hunt with a lethal device, I mean, we're willing to trust them there, but I have never heard of a child.
We don't though. No.
We don't let kids hunt?
No, kids are allowed out at 16 with parental supervision. They're not allowed to own or have a firearm until they're 18, so that's not actually correct.
So you're okay. So in other words, we should allow children to change their gender if they get parental supervision?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So it would be okay to allow a child to get a gender transition surgery as long as they have parental consent?
No, I don't think it is. I think that the child needs to be 18 because, again, at the end of the day, kids change their mind a lot, and you don't really know. Now, do I think we need to get resources for them? Absolutely. Do I think that if they're feeling that way? Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
But
and I got folks, I don't know what state you're in, but I got folks, at least on the YouTube side, disputing you, stating that kids do hunt, at least in Texas, that children can hunt.
Okay, hunt, but is it legal? Because again, in my state, it's 16, and you have to have parental guidance with you. You can't just send a kid out 16 to hunt. So
What state are you in?
Every state's different, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
true. That's true.
I can't imagine many states letting them do it below that age. That would be pretty dumb. But again, hunting, we're talking about two different things here.
You're talking about you're talking about handing somebody something that is lethal to a child.
I agree. And this could be lethal too, right? Because they could surgically hurt them. And absolutely. They could kill them. I mean, unalive them. I apologize.
But that's why I asked you, Marine Mom, is there a single incidence of a child, let's say under the age of 15 in America anywhere, that has had a sex exchange operation? Do we have at least one name? I mean, we got 350 million people. Can we come up with one name of somebody? Because this is coming up a lot on the right. Can we come up with at least one name of one human being in America under the age of 15 that has done this? Because it seems to be a huge worry on the right, but I don't see not a single incident where it's actually happened.
I'm gonna look real quick because I don't know the answer to that. It's a good question, but at the end of the day, I don't think once you put it on the table, do you know what I mean? I don't know what happens.
Well, if it's been on the table for a year and nobody's done it yet.
We don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Give me a name.
So we may not be able to know because obviously HIPAA law plus the fact that they're a minor, we may not know.
Yeah. I think that you'd have at least a physician or somebody coming forth saying, I can't give you the name, but I've done at least one or two procedures. I haven't heard anyone name anywhere in liberal America of a child, a minor under 16, actually having their genitalia reversed. I have not heard of it.
Well, apparently they have, based on what I'm looking at right now. So, yes, minors under 15 have undergone gender-affirming surgeries in the U.S. They're rare, but they have.
Okay, it just says minors under 15. Doesn't tell you when, where, who, anything like that at all.
No, I don't. I mean, only.
What's your source?
As of 2024, some states implemented restrictions on it. Obviously, it says that gender-affirming surgeries for minors under 15 do not occur, but are carefully do occur, but are carefully regulated. It won't give any. I figured it wouldn't because again, you're talking about minor information and HIPAA law, right? So I don't think that we would.
But now we're talking. So you're saying it happens, although very rare. Now we're going to skip forward and say, does it also happen without parental consent?
Well, I would assume to this point it probably did, and actually, from what I'm reading, yes. But based on his law, you wouldn't need it.
I would have. I mean. I'm not saying what you're saying is not true. It's just hard to believe that a 14, 15-year-old...
I understand. I understand your point. I guess the bigger question would be is how many kids are taking hormones right now?
It's a big difference between taking hormones, though, and actually getting yourself chopped up.
But to be fair, how many are taking hormones because they want to have gender-affirming surgery and can't?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree with that, but like I said, it's a big difference though, because you can get off the hormones, but when you're talking about actually going under the knife, that's significantly different.
You and I get that. I mean, I get that, but again, we're talking about teenagers who, geez, you can't get them to change their socks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't necessarily. They think differently. They're not mentally like as.
I'll say this, Marine Mom, I'll say this. I'm on your side on this issue. I don't believe kids should do it. However, my issue is the right is making it sound like it's a dime a dozen and kids all over America are getting this done. I think they're blowing this up to some insane level when, you could put a decimal point in a host of zeros before you get to an actual solid number in describing how many kids do this. It's 0.000. It's way out there. This is not happening to be making this much of a fuss about it.
Okay, I hear you, and we can't really say it's not happening because we just said it was. But here's the bigger thing. The bigger thing is why did he need to put it into law then?
There are laws that still say you can hang a black man. That don't mean it's happening. I get what you're saying. There's some wild laws out there.
I was just thinking that there are some crazy laws out there, but still, he probably should have just never put it into law. That being fair, he should have just not put it in law.
All right, and I don't just. I'd have to hear the context of it, but based on your statement, I would agree that something like that shouldn't be put in the law. But I need to hear more behind what else was there. But the fact that nobody is doing it speaks volumes.
Yeah, well, it's not that nobody is because we just read that some people are, but it's rare. It is rare.
Yeah, it is extremely rare.
So anyway, well, thank you, and I'm gonna step down.
All right, appreciate it, Marine Mom. Thank you for your service as well. Come back through anytime. All right, moving the program on. That was Marine Mom. She did say it is stolen valor, considered as stolen valor. I can't argue with her. I don't have a military background. And the way she orated, it sounds legit to me. Like I said, I don't think it's going to matter at all. And she was right in stating, you just asked me for my opinion. I gave it to you. And I appreciate her doing that. I don't think it's going to matter, though. Because as I pointed out, we ignore exaggerations from Trump all the time. So if the man embellished his service and stated he did things that he did not do, it is what it is. Continuing on with the program, what I want to, before I go back to the box, and by the way, tap the screen, get the likes up to about 50,000. Certainly can do that. This fake shit is Mr. Winkle. Well, listen, She states that it happens. I'm still up in the air about young children getting a transition, actually going through surgery without their parents' permission. I'm on the side of I don't believe it happens, but it is what she's right. With HIPAA law and things like that, they're not going to tell you. But I tend to think we would know of a few folks that have done it that are kids like that, or parents that were unhappy suing doctors or something. I just don't hear about it. I only hear the right being fearful of what could happen. But in terms of kids having this surgery, I think it's exceptionally rare, far too rare for what the right is doing. Why doesn't she just say it? Says Mr. Winkle. Mr. Wrinkle. There we go. Mr. Wrinkle. Thank you for your support, by the way, Mr. Wrinkle. Appreciate you supporting the program. Thank you. I don't know, but I do believe that, and I've said this before, the right does not like the transgender community. I think that's pretty clear. I say that all the time. Every single story you hear in reference to the transgender community coming from the right, it is a negative story. I want to run one more clip by you before we go back to the box. This one we have not discussed yet. Nevertheless, I do believe it is worthy of discussing because, once again, it sounds concerning. It sounds concerning, and I'm kind of wondering where former President Trump is getting this. Let me see if I can run it without an ad queuing up. This stuff is all coming off of YouTube from his speech today, by the way.
But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, when you think about the the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born. We will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that.
The baby will be born. So you cut the cord, you got a live child, and you're going to put the child to the side and decide with the physician whether you want to take that child's life. And he is stating that in the state of Minnesota, under Tim Walz, that was legal. Say what? I'm assuming some of you folks agree with that. Believe that is actually legal. Wow. So, how can it not be murder? They're going to put the baby to the side and decide if they want to take his life. Mr. Wrinkle, thank you for your generosity. Mr. Wrinkle, you have a great show from a white dude. Hey, white dudes with a handsome liberal. I appreciate that. Love what you do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wrinkle. I do appreciate it. You certainly are very, very kind to the show. Thank you. By the way, folks, if you do enjoy this type of dialogue from all sides of the aisle, and when we say all, we mean all. Folks are even critical of yours truly as well. We believe in free speech to a fault. We don't censor, block, ban, or limit your speech in any way, fashion, or form. By the way, thank you, Alter Ego. Yeah, appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you, as always, Alter Ego, showing love on TikTok. We don't censor your comments. We don't tell you how you should think. We're here to hear what you have to say. So if you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, as I always say, we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. Everyone gets to speak. You're in the right place. Follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. This is how the program is ran. We're here Monday through Friday, generally 1 p.m. Central, 1300 hours. But because the news is moving so fast with only 89 days to election, we're starting to have a lot of night streams as well. Cabin 365 on YouTube. Do you believe there was a party switch? Dems started the KKK and the Republicans freed the slaves. Dems say there was a party flip. Cabin 365, there's overwhelming evidence that there was a party flip. Literally, just think about it. The Democratic Party was a party of the Confederate South. The Democratic Party was a party of slavery. And you look at it in 2024, who was overwhelmingly defending those slave owners, the statues of them, and waving their flag around? Which party is doing that? So it would make no sense for the Republican Party to fight off those bad Confederates, free the African Americans, free the black folks in slavery, and then all of a sudden start adopting the symbol of the people they fought. That doesn't make sense. So obviously some sort of switch took place. I mean, not to mention the Republican Party is flying the Confederate flag under the guise it's all about pride and heritage. It's not about hate. If you want to honor the South, we've been a country since 1776. So we're talking well over 200 years. Out of that entire 200 years, the Civil War only lasted a handful of years. Out of everything you could pick to represent the South, you picked the most dark, most violent and oppressive point in the South history. That makes no sense. So clearly there was something that happened. Now I will tell you to do a little research on terms like Dixiecrats, because that was the interim switch. Whereas Kennedy started working at the behest of his brother Robert to give African American civil rights, and the folks within the Democratic Party that were still anti-civil rights got pissed off at Kennedy for working with Martin Luther King and the African Americans in entertaining, because he died before it happened, but entertaining giving black civil rights. They got pissed off that he would even do that. They abandoned the Democratic Party and became Dixiecrats. They never returned, because once Kennedy was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson came in and did follow through and gave black civil rights. So those folks that abandoned that party never returned because they were pissed off that they gave them civil rights. They ended up as Republicans. That is what they have today. By the way, I do have a clip, but I have both devices going, but I do have a clip where Martin Luther King is asked while he's alive on screen, do you fear the Republican Party becoming an all-white man's party? And he says, yes, if the progressives within the party don't speak up, I do have a fear the party will become a white man's party. The switch was taking place. He's saying Republican progressives. We already know what party now affiliates with progressives. So he's actually alluding to the switch in real time on camera. It was on CBS this morning. I actually have the video clip of it. I can't bring it up because I got all my devices going. Ray Hansen, appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. And Roderick Williams, Hansen, thank you for that generosity, Ray Hansen. Thank you. Roderick Williams, there are kids that are born with both genitalias and they have to remove one. I didn't think of that. Is that possibly why Tim Walz or other states have had this gender surgery available to minors? Because there are people that are born imperfect, so to speak, sexually. So something would have to be done. You'd have to operate on them as a child. That's an excellent rebuttal that I did not think of, which is why I like having a free speech program. I don't have all the answers. A lot of times you guys educate the host. Continuing on, Trainer Tig, thank you for the super chat. Reuters 2021 study shows that over 1,300 children were given puberty blockers or other medical procedures that is permanent damage without surgery. Wow. I'd like to know the story behind those 1,300 puberty blockers. Now, obviously, they're not going to tell you that, but I'd like to know, is there any other medical reason why a person would take it? This is totally foreign territory for yours truly. But I'd like to know if those puberty blockers they were taking, was that all just an elective decision, or were there other health reasons why they took them? Were they all just simply feeling like they were born in the wrong body, wanted to change their gender, and that's the only reason they took them? Or are there other reasons why they may be prescribed puberty blockers? Because if so, then that needs to be considered. Moving on, Ed G. Malcolm X said the white liberal is the most dangerous thing for the black community. That is true, Ed. Malcolm X did say that, but he didn't say if they should go Republican. He said the white, and also keep in mind, that's back during the era of the switch. That's back during the white liberal in Malcolm X time is a totally different animal than a white liberal of today. I would submit to you that the white Republican of Malcolm X's era is different than a white Republican of today. I'm going to assume Malcolm X would not be cool going to a rally where they're waving a Confederate flag around. That happens at Republican gatherings now. I'm going to assume that Malcolm X wouldn't say you need to go hang out with them. Mr. Wrinkle, shout out to you, man. Yes, party switched unless all, wait a minute. Yes, the parties switched unless the races moved north and all the liberals moved south. The Republican Party was started by liberal Democrats. Yeah, I do agree with that. And by the way, the Republican Party during the era of the, what did they call it? The proclamation or whatever you want. When the slaves were free, that was considered a progressive move. Slavery was the traditional way this country was founded. It had been going on for quite a while. Progressing out of slavery, that's an action of, that's being a progressive. That's not a conservative action. That's being progressive. Conservatives tend to want to keep things the way the founding fathers intended. Progressives tend to want to continue evolving away from that. Getting rid of slavery is a progressive tenet. It's not conservative. The Republicans during the era of slavery were called progressives. Shelley Scott, and that in your notice, you often hear folks say the Republicans freed the slaves and the Democrats were pro-slavery. They don't tell you the progressive versus conservative part of it, because Democrats were considered conservatives back then and Republicans were considered progressives. And that's why I even mentioned Martin Luther King talking about if the progressives in the Republican Party don't change or speak up. He even called them progressives. Shelley Scott, Lincoln chat Tim, Walz bill equals murder or infanticide. I wish I could look at it right now. Shelley Scott, if you could, well, I think I have my email address on my YouTube account. I would like to see that, but I obviously can't bring it up now. Thank you for your super chat and that information. I would like to see it. Continue on with the program. Abolitionists are conservative. Yeah, they're also, abolishing slavery is not a conservative maneuver. It's a progressive maneuver. That's not true. When you go against the norm, that's progressive. When you want to keep the norm in place the way the founding fathers intended, that is conservative. Just think about which party is always talking about doing things the way the founding fathers intended. Always talking about the Constitution. The right does that. The right are, breaking slavery, which all of the founding fathers mostly were participating in. That's progressive to break that. That's not conservative. Looking at the comments, that's your opinion. Stop your opinions with facts. What do you mean stop your opinion with facts? Going back to the box. And like I said, I do have a video of Martin Luther King. I have got to find a way to put that on screen because so many people ask that question all the time. Did the party switch happen? It's asked a lot. Going back to the box, going to one of my subscribers, Sincere72. Good evening. By the way, the guests are coming from TikTok. The audio you're hearing, it's all coming from TikTok. We do have a YouTube audience. Sincere, good afternoon. Or good evening, rather.
How you doing? I live in Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And Ralph Norton was a governor when a situation arose when there was a baby born with no brain.
Ooh.
And the parents, they had to make a difficult decision, and they were going to terminate that baby. All right. So Glenn Youngkin and the GOP here took that situation when he took office and ran with it. Just like he did in Loudoun County when there was a transgender student at that school, he ran with it. Same thing he did with the book ban. Same thing he did with his war on woke and critical race theory. I'm tired of the BS. Give me facts, not fiction.
No, Youngkin.
That situation in Loudoun County, I went to Loudoun County. And what he stated was the complete opposite of what took place.
Explain.
All right, so there was a situation where a young lady and this said individual over a restaurant.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
In Virginia, if you identify yourself, whatever sex you identify yourself as, you're allowed to use the bathroom. He mixed that situation up with an individual that essayed a young lady in the restroom, but it was not the individual that he proclaimed it was. This is what they do.
Wow.
They come up with their own narratives and they run with it. And again, I had typed in the chat about the situation in Minnesota when the governor there rolled into law about ginger care or whatnot. Whether you want to face it or not, there are children born every day with both sex organs.
Yeah.
And the parents make a decision on which sex their child is going to have. This is covered under that. They take this as free-nilly that a child that a little boy want to be a girl, he gets to have that surgery. That's not how it works. It also gives them ability to get mental counseling about what they're going through or whatnot.
Yeah, I think the issue here is all of these other alternatives to why some of this stuff is happening. Probably because the right is making it sound like everybody that does this just simply want to change their gender willy-nilly, and they're not taking into consideration that maybe some of this stuff may be due to other, just like abortion. I mean, just like that, terminating the pregnancy sometimes is not just a decision somebody want to make willy-nilly. It has some health issues. They don't believe in the possibility that it could be done for any other reason other than just being plain irresponsible, and that's where the difference is at.
And it is. And this will get me. God gave us something called free will.
Yeah.
And you gotta respect that. If he gave it to us, then we're allowed to use it. Anything that I do wrong or you do wrong when we leave this earth, we got an answer to that. And if you live in a glass house, why are you throwing stones? Because the Bible don't state that one sin is greater than the other.
That's a good point.
Sin. Whether you glutton or you commit an unalive, it's still a sin.
It's a good point. So it's just, and that's the reason why. Now I grew up religious myself, but that's the reason why I've kind of swayed away from religion. It is just simply too judgmental. All of this stuff is about judging how somebody else is living their life. It's not according to the Bible, so I want to stop it or ostracize them or criticize them. It's just too much judgment. What happened to live and let ye live?
Yeah, it's raining real bad here where I'm at.
All right. Yeah, I hear it. I'm moving on because it is a bit noisy. Yeah, I'm moving on, man. I do appreciate you coming through, though. Yeah, you got a loud background. All right, moving on. And by the way, before I continue the program, I want to tackle a couple super chats. Thank you for that. In the comments. Tim Walsh calls pedophiles, minor attracted persons, and think it's sexual orientation like being gay. I'd have to see some evidence of that. Crystal Lopez. Tim Walsh calls, I don't want to keep saying the P word, but basically abusers of children. Tim Walsh calls them minor attracted person. Thinks it's the state of Minnesota would have had outrage on that. Even liberals ain't down with that. What? I'd have to see the source. Minor attracted person. So if you're abusing children, you are I assume you're attracted to minors, but you say, thank you for the super chat. Crystal, are you sure? Man, I need some sources from some of you folks. I might have to create a special link just for sources. I need to see that. And I'm not disrespecting anybody. You guys know how I run the program. It's all about free speech. You can certainly educate the host, and I hopefully can educate some of you folks. Nobody has all the damn answers. That's why we run a free speech program. Nobody is a know-it-all here, including yours truly. A lot of people to speak, but I'd have to see some links. Minor attracted person. That's different. Cabin 365. respect for being open-minded and touching both sides. Yeah, we try to do that. I don't believe in censorship. I don't think any of us are furthered by silencing opinions of others that we disagree with. That gets us nowhere. And that'll never happen here. I cannot pronounce this name. From the void, I'll just say. That's the end of the name. Somebody from the void. The most common reason children are given puberty blockers is for hormone control. For kids who have an overproduction of estrogens, or I'm thinking you're saying estrogen. I don't want to mispronounce the word. I think it says estrogens. And that's what I was asking. And I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some sort of chemist, scientist, or physician, but that actually sounds accurate to me. I truly believe that if hundreds of children are getting puberty blockers, it's not all elective. It's not all because they feel like they're in their own body and just want to change their gender. I bet I'd be willing to guess that that's probably fairly accurate, that a lot of these folks have something that is unnatural about their development, and that's done to counter it. It's called precocious puberty, says Megan. Thank you. You guys are educating the hell out of me. Normally I'm throwing a few facts out, but you guys are killing me tonight because I don't know any of this stuff. I want to play a clip. It's only a minute and a half before I go back to the box. I believe this is what I was discussing earlier. I'm going to ask that you tap the screen, certainly on TikTok, get the likes up to about 65,000. We're running a late program, certainly considerably later than we normally do, but it's because of Trump's conference today. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Get the likes up to about 150 FIDDY, if you will. I want to see if I can play this. This is the one and only Martin Luther King. Now, he held a big speech called the I Have a Dream speech. Apparently, Trump produced bigger numbers than that speech, according to Trump today. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this is a 90-second clip.
President Biden will become the first sitting president to speak during a Sunday service at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where Reverend Martin Luther King was once a pastor. King appeared on Face the Nation in May of 1964 when he was working along with President Johnson to get the Civil Rights Act passed.
Dr. King, in light of recent statements of Senator Barry Goldwater and, in some cases, Richard Nixon, do you think there is a real danger of the Republican Party becoming the white man's party in this country?
I think this is a real danger, and I've talked with some Negro Republicans who are very concerned about this. I see trends and developments which will reveal...
Let me pause and try to, because I know folks are going to talk about the breaks in it. I don't know why my computer's doing that, but I want you to hear it. This is him. This is that party switch stuff. This is the party switch stuff. I want to see if I can play it without my computer chopping it up. There's no edits in this. This is coming straight through, but my computer is making it skip. I'm going to try to rewind a few seconds of it.
With President Johnson to get the Civil Rights Act passed.
Dr. King, in light of recent statements of Senator Barry Goldwater and, in some cases, Richard Nixon, do you think there is a real danger of the Republican Party becoming the white man's party in this country?
I think this is a real danger, and I've talked with some Negro Republicans who are very concerned about this. I see trends and developments which will reveal that unless the liberals of the Republican Party take play a much more decisive role in leadership positions, this will become a white man's party. And I think this would be tragic for the Republican Party as well as tragic for the nation.
Today,
that's about as clear of a definitive answer you can ever get of whether a party switch happened. He's talking about liberals in the Republican Party and progressives. That's Martin Luther King, who was a Republican himself. So obviously there was a switch. I mean, he's literally giving it to you in real time during the era when it's taking place. If you're not going to buy that, I'll leave it alone. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly saying that he has a fear that if the liberals and the progressives in the Republican Party don't speak up and do anything, it's going to become a white man's party. In real time. Saying it in real time. So that's happening while the switch is actually taking place. So for anybody who wants to say, well, no, look, if you don't believe him, ain't nothing else I can do. But I mean, that's about as clear as you can get. Anyway, moving on with the program, and I do appreciate you folks tapping the screen. But I wish I could actually, I think that's an important link, because I probably had 100 conversations with people who continue to say that the party switch never happened. Now, they're overwhelmingly on the right. I don't think I've ever heard anybody on the left say the party switch didn't happen. It's always on the right. But like I said, that is a clear example. I see in the comments, KD, what does it say? K-Dog said, pulled the race card again. I'm just playing a clip from Martin Luther King. And Juan, wow, you guys are harsh. Juan Hogan says, Martin Luther King was a sellout. He got shot in the face. Who did he sell out to? Who did Martin Luther King sell out to? I have never heard in my entire life that Martin Luther King was a sellout. Who the hell did he sell out to? He got shot in the face. Wow. You guys are humorous this evening. No mercy, sweep the leg, huh? Let me go to the box. Martin Luther King was a sellout. I don't even know what to do with that. Let me go back to one of my subscribers. Top Dog, good evening. Martin Luther King was a sellout. You don't say. Wow, that's new. Wyatt, good evening. Wyatt.
How's it going, Cameron?
It's going good. Martin Luther King was a sellout. What say you?
Yeah, that's crazy shit right there. Don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, that would caught me off guard.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of bizarre. I mean, as a white man, I don't really know how much I need to even respond to that question as much. You know what I mean?
Well, since we're talking about MLK, did you see Trump's conference today where he claims that he had more, his crowd size was larger than Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
You think it's accurate? You know I'm going to ask you the questions. You know I'm going to ask.
No, it's a fair question. I'm not, I mean, it's a typical Trump thing, man. I'm not even trying to, he's done this before. He's talked about having bigger or greater crowds and other things, and it's sad. It is sad, but it is, that's a lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
But,
now, I'll let you continue, but that's what I was saying earlier when folks are talking about Tim Walz of Minnesota probably told some lies. I'm like, with his opposition being Trump, it ain't gonna matter. But continue.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of like, you'll see a lot of things on the right where it's like, oh, I can't believe this person said this one little clip, and then it's like, well, I have 13, or I have 100 other clips of your candidate saying crazier things or other lies or whatever, and I'm not. Yeah, it is what it is, and I'm not even trying to get into all that.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Not have a bigger thing than MLK did. I mean, it's just a crazy statement to say.
What about the notion that nobody was killed on January 6th?
Well, that's just a lie too. I don't even know what the.
Now, are you voting for Trump? You're MAGA, right?
I am not MAGA.
Oh, I thought you were MAGA. Okay. All right. So.
No.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. I just had to ask.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty moderate in a way. I'm not, super liberal or whatever.
What do you think of Kamala?
There's things liberals will say, and you're like, oh God, why'd you say that? But
what do you think of Kamala?
I did want to ask you a question though.
Hold on, hang on. I'll let you ask the question. Hold on, hang on. I'll let you ask the question. But first, what do you think of Kamala?
I like Kamala.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with Kamala. I think there's still a lot to learn from her, and I think, they'll get the flack of, well, was she even actually voted in? It's like, no, but technically yes. I mean, we voted for Biden-Harris.
Right. What's your question?
My question was going to be just, you know how, so it's going to be a total change of subject, and it's not even, you might not even talked about it tonight, but just because I live in the state of Georgia, we deal with a big talking point on the conservative side and liberal side is gun control. Mm-hmm. With gun control, it's like, liberals want to take guns as a side, and then the conservatives want to have guns for everybody, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then conservatives have, it's not the gun, it's the person.
Right.
So then in the state of Georgia, I could go into a gun shop right now and buy a gun. I could walk in, pick a gun, buy a gun, and leave with a gun in like 6 minutes.
Background check? No background check at all?
No, not really. You sign a couple papers. You can literally walk in and walk out. And some of that stuff is kind of bizarre to me. I mean, it's like, if it's the person, not the gun, then why do Republicans also make it easier for the person to get the gun? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't honestly have an answer for that. The left side of me says that that's somewhat irresponsible. I do believe in gun ownership, but I think the right takes it too far. I mean, I think a lot of folks on the right would be okay with you owning, ricin and anthrax if they left, if you left it up to them. So I do believe they take, here's the difference though. The folks on the right believe that guns prevent a tyrannical government from rising up. Therefore, as a citizen, you should have access to the same weaponry that the military does. So if they become tyrannical, you can stave them off. Well, then that opens up the door to fighter jets and Navy ships and everything. And I think that's insane, but the right believes that.
No one's flying around, recon drones or whatever.
Well, people on the right believe that, though. There are people on the right that believe if you want an armed drone, you should have access to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even. Me personally, I vote blue typically, and I'm young. I'm really not. I'm only 22 years old, so I've only been voting not long. But I am not. I don't really. Sometimes some of the gun laws, it's like, do I want an assault rifle ban? Maybe not. That doesn't bother me that much, but what bothers me more is when we take away background checks, and then we're like, anybody can get anything they want. That's what common sense gun laws are. In other words, you can let the public have a gun, but have some common sense behind it. But the right believes shall not be infringed. So I don't care if you're crazy and out of your damn mind, that person's gun rights shall not be infringed upon. So the right is a little bit more, I hate to use the term liberal, but a little bit more free with handing out firearms. That's why you can do what you're talking about, walk into a gun shop and just buy a gun. Right, and then it just seems hypocritical, though, in the end, whereas when they're like, well, it's the person, not the gun. It's like, well, then what are you doing about the person aspect of it? Nothing. Yeah. I don't disagree with you. Actually, it's crazy. I don't know what the comments are saying, but that's it.
I'll discuss it a little bit more on the other side, but I don't have, the right is far more believing that people should have access to guns. So, and I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, because trying to alter it is so damn unpopular. Even some Democrats are in favor of, shall not be infringed upon. So you may not see that change anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know much about Walz, and I know he's a hunter, and I'm sure or some people will be like, well, that's just he just seems like he is or whatever. But there's pictures and things. He's a hunter. He's like Midwestern. Mm-hmm. He shoots quail, I think, is his main game that he shoots. So he's not anti-guns. I don't think. I've shot guns. I shoot guns.
Well, he's not anti-gun, but he is for common sense gun laws. And if you're on the right, that's anti-gun.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think I just think it's not the biggest issue. I mean, there's a couple other issues that are probably more important. I don't know if you even have you. I'm going to change the subject again because why not? But have you looked into Trump's new econ plan?
No. Elaborate. What are you talking about?
So hopefully I have all the right sources, and maybe I'll get fact checked by some comments or whatever.
Nothing wrong with
But I
that.
know Trump. I believe Trump came out with this new economics plan. I was watching an econ teacher talk about it and just kind of break it down for me. But it was he kind of wants to do tariffs. He wants to do a lot of tariffs for China and Mexico, and then tariffs for other countries as well. And then is trying to get rid of the 16th Amendment, I believe, which is the federal income tax, which, you know, everybody's like, oh, that sounds great. But I mean, truthfully, it's probably not going to happen to, you know.
Yeah, I will say this, to make, just like I think defunding the police is stupid, to maintain a functioning society, you need law enforcement. You need tax money as well. You can't keep giving, you can't give everybody 100% of their paycheck and not, I mean, there's only so far you can cut taxes back before you don't have enough money remaining to pay those police officers that you're backing. So I do believe that Trump is trying to take tax cuts to a fault.
If we start tariffing everything, if we start tariffing, like if we start tariffing China, especially, probably, and that in the end will end up having all of our goods start to rise because they can, because they will all be cheaper to make in America. Technically, it's like, okay,
well, then he would be creating jobs, and that's why I favorite Trump when he was talking about back in 2015, 16, when he was talking about taxing John Deere. I stood up and applauded. The price of goods and services will go up if you add tariffs, but if the prices go up so much that you no longer benefit by sending a job overseas, then the stuff will be made here, and you're now creating American jobs. But like they used to be. I don't have a problem with that.
Right. I mean, no, I get making American jobs. That's great. I mean, that's fine by me. But if common goods are going up by 25%, and this is also coming from the same party who's against unions and raising minimum wage, then I don't really care about, you know, if my paycheck is going to be, let's say, they somehow get no federal income tax. If I have no federal income
that's
tax
a problem.
in my
Yeah,
paycheck, somehow everything else that I'm buying is 25% more expensive than I usually get, and I'm not getting paid anymore than what I am now. Like,
yeah, I get your point. Then it's the
point.
Then it's a problem.
And that's not going to boost economy for us. It might boost the economy for higher ups.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Trump comes in. Is Trump? I do believe Trump is more beneficial to folks who are upper middle class than folks at the bottom. I got to move it on though, Wyatt. I do agree with some of that, but we'll talk about it on the other side.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Come on anytime. Now, on the other side, as I said, I'll discuss I don't know why the damn device is not working here. There we go. Okay, now what he was talking about, one of the things I will say is that there was a time in America where we made our own shit. Now, what my last caller was saying, if you impose tariffs, the price of everything's going to go up. Yeah, for a time it would. But once we start making products here in this country, people will start having better jobs and likely be able to afford stuff at a higher price. Keep in mind, we used to have RCA, Magnavox, Zenith. For you folks who are old enough, you know what those brands used to make. America used to make their own shit. You didn't have Sony and Mitsubishi and all these. America used to make their own shit, and people had it. So what we have done is essentially sold out our jobs, our manufacturing, and everything, so that we could buy a cheaper shirt or cheaper pair of pants. You really hurt the country for doing that. And only a few people have benefited. The ones who are sitting in jobs overseas, them the folks that are getting richer and richer, and all we're getting is cheap TVs and cheap electronics. But a lot of us have lost our jobs and can barely afford the stuff even at a cheaper price. So if you bring the jobs back home and things go up in price, but now you're creating American companies that make the stuff, and they're paying American wages according to American labor laws, and now America is making for America, I don't have a problem with it. Now, there is obviously some things that got to be tweaked out about it. I'm no economics major, but I know it used to happen before. So why can't it happen again? I would submit to you this. If America could make cheaper cars than the Chinese, and we could ship them overseas and sell them in China to the Chinese for cheaper than they're paying for their own products, I don't think China would allow that. Even though America's able to make the product cheaper, send it to our nation and sell it to our people for cheaper than Chinese men, I don't think they would, because they realize how bad that would be for their own nation. You talk about a matter of national security. What about a matter of financial security? You can't let everybody make your shit. That's where we've run into a problem. To enrich a few folks in this country, we've sold out the bottom half of it. So the people who are shipping all of their manufacturing overseas, they're making a killing. But all the folks who used to work at their plants in the United States, them people are struggling now. China wouldn't allow that to happen. I don't care how cheap you can make this. We're not going to let you bring this over here and cause all of our own citizens to be unemployed. But America's a capitalist country. Let the free market decide. We're not going to have any government oversight. We'll leave it up to the company to make their own decision. You kind of know what party believes in that, and that's the decision they made. I can produce this cheaper if I have it done in China and fire all my workers. And thanks to the fact that there is no government oversight that's going to stop me from doing that. And that's kind of how that works. Looking in the, we're going to respond to a couple super chats, by the way. And this came from Ed G, says, being a Republican, I apologize for not getting to this sooner, Ed. Being a Republican doesn't mean that they are not open to changes. And Trump is Trump is talking, interfere with me. Being a Republican doesn't mean that they are not open to any changes, and a lot of progressive laws have come from Republicans. I'd be curious to know what progressive laws come from Republicans. Now, I do believe there are some. I do believe that. But I'm just simply saying, let's say nothing is absolute. I'm not going to say 100% of the progressive laws come from Republicans and 100% of the laws that want to maintain the status quo come from conservatives. But I will say overall, if you're going to get a progressive law, it's likely to come from the left. Yeah, some come from the right, but likely to come from the left. From the void, Kamala's worst statement. You think you come from a coconut tree? Trump's worst statement, grab him by the pussy. Oh my God. From the void. That's bad. You're saying that Kamala's worst statement is only, you think you fell from a coconut tree, but Trump's worst statement is good. I gotta assume Kamala said something worse than that. I'd have to think, I don't have one off the top of the dome, but I gotta think Kamala said something worse than that coconut tree statement. And oddly enough, Trump has said something worse than grab him by the pussy. So, I mean, Trump got a lot of great hits. I would assume after Trump leaves office, you could probably write a book called Trump's Greatest Hits, Trump's Greatest Quotes, Trump's Greatest Tweets. That book alone, you'd have enough probably to fill up a 300-400 page book. You'd probably have enough comments from Trump to fill up quite a bit of material. Here's one that's an interesting question. This is coming from Trainer TIG. Kind of a gotcha question, so to speak. And by the way, thank you folks for your super chats and supporting the program, including you, Trainer, and from the Void, Ed G as well. He asked the question, what's an assault weapon? Go ahead, I'll wait. Now, calling long rifles assault weapons is something the right often chastises the left for, suggesting that you don't know what an assault weapon is or there is no such thing as an assault rifle. Well, I would submit to you that a lot of folks on the right are not aware that during the 80s, they used to use that term to sell assault rifles. And when I say assault rifles, I mean it's not something the liberals were calling these weapons. It was actually on the magazine covers. The people who were trying to sell those guns to you were actually calling them assault rifles. I'll give you an example. While I was talking to you, I was trying to bring one up, and I believe I can show you if I can put it on the screen. But this isn't something the liberals just made up. This is something the actual makers of the weapons, promoters of the weapons, were actually calling them back in the 1980s. If you can see there on the page, that is a magazine titled "The Complete Book of Assault Rifles." This isn't some liberal. That's a bad picture, by the way. I'll see if I can find a better one. But they used to call those assault rifles. They used to actually call them that. That's not something the liberals made up in, where you can say the liberals are stupid, they don't know anything about guns. They were calling them assault rifles. Guns and Ammo magazine, I'm sure many folks have heard of that publication. That still exists, by the way, Guns and Ammo magazine. I just saw the cover there. There we go. There is a cover on the left. Once again, these pictures for you guys to be looking at it are very small. Let me see if I can save it. But the picture right there says, once again, it says assault rifles. I can't blow it up, but there's a cover of Guns and Ammo magazine, and it says the new breed of assault rifle. That's on the magazine cover. So they were calling them when they originally came out assault rifles. That's not something the liberals made up. It's just they don't use the term anymore, and the right is trying to suggest that because the term stopped, the liberals are ignorant about guns. No, the gun makers were calling them that. That's where it came from. Continuing on, though, isn't that what's happening now? Why not pay us? Dennis Blankenship, I'm not quite, because I'm late responding to your comment. I don't know what you mean by what's happening now. And last but not least, Ed G says, we've enriched countries that became our enemies. 100% spot on comment. China being a number one example, where we sent a lot of jobs to the Chinese because they could make shit so cheap because they didn't have any labor laws at all. And in some cases, they were employing children outright. They could produce products for very cheap. Americans enjoyed getting cheap goods, and the people who used to employ us certainly enjoyed being able to employ children for a tiny fraction of what we make. And yeah, it really undercut us. That comment is 100% correct, Ed G. And as a result, China used that money to strengthen its war machine. And China is on the opposing side of the table for virtually every issue America stands for. That was the wrong country to enrich. I'll continue on, but what I will say this, what America should have did, because you hear everybody talking about the problem at the border. If there is one country that America should have sent jobs to, it should have been Mexico or Guatemala or one of the countries because they won't leave their own damn country if their economy's good. As opposed to strengthening the economy of China, they should have did it south of the border. Them folks would have no interest in leaving the land they've come to know and love if they weren't struggling so much financially. Sending the money to China was a bad idea. But you could get Chinese children to work for even cheaper than Mexican nationals. And that is where greed got us. You could undercut the U.S. labor laws, pay people a little bit less than you'd be forced to pay Americans in Mexico. But the powers that be in this country, the corporate heads found out, well, we could pay even less in China. And that's where they went. As a result, Mexico and some of the other countries south of the border, their economies continue to struggle, and hence the border problems. Going back to the box, Denkow. Good evening, welcome to the program, Denkow. Appreciate you holding on there, Denkow. MAGA doesn't care. Trump and Epstein partied together, says Red. Damn. Well, there is pictures of Trump partying with Epstein. Video. So there's no denying it happened. That's not to say they were committing any crimes, but yeah, Trump certainly had parties with Epstein. Denkow, good evening.
Hey, just to address one of those, the conversation he was just having, and I looked it up right now. Right now, Canada is our biggest trading partner in the world. Second is Mexico. Third is China. But I don't.
That's still huge, though. That is still huge. And I mean, that third trading partner still took a ton of jobs.
Sure. Right, for sure. And you know, we've been pulling back from them for a little while, and we're gonna continue doing it.
Yeah, but there's also places like Vietnam and the Philippines. I mean, there's other places. I mean, we got trading partners throughout Asia. Them jobs should be here.
Right. We look. Our government made a conscious decision to delegate those things to other countries, so we, as American citizens, could buy cheaper goods and services
with no job.
So we can.
Give up your job and you can buy this for cheaper. I mean, that is backwards as hell. But you're right.
They assume that our economy was going to progress to where our jobs would be higher technology, and so therefore we wouldn't necessarily be needing those jobs to produce all of these, you know, these things that Americans need. Like the main thing was the country's greed. That's what.
There you go.
We just like a whole bunch of stuff for cheap. That's what we like.
Yeah.
When I grew up back in the day, I grew up in Detroit, so obviously, you know, there was a sense of pride about things, and it was like you couldn't drive around the city with a foreign car. Like if you had anything outside of the big three, it was a problem.
Yep.
And things had made from America on them, and we took pride in that stuff.
Yep.
But now, even the kids talking about, look, I'm trying to cop me a foreign. They want to drive a car.
That is true.
Buy their clothes from another country. Our whole country is obsessed with all of this. You got stores like IKEA, and you got websites like Alibaba where you could buy wholesale from these foreign countries.
I gotta say, the TikTok shop is taking a bunch of my money. I got all kinds of shit around here. I mean, I'm sure many of you have saw this on the TikTok shop. The what is this? I don't buy so much shit off the TikTok shop.
It's not just you. It's not just you. I'm talking about you can buy these things that are convenient and cheap with the snap of a finger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they even offer you a discount on it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of just like how our society has evolved. And now we're looking back and we're trying to figure out how to get back to that. But the way this economy and the global market is set up, you can't. Because the problem is we can't just start manufacturing stuff ourselves because it costs too much in the States to manufacture stuff. And plus, we would have to start investing billions into these plants and manufacturing again, which no companies want to do.
That's where Trump's tariffs made sense to me. Yeah, a company is never going to give a damn about the American economy. They're all about their own pocket. But if Trump or anybody, it doesn't have to be Trump, but I favorite Trump for at least saying it. He didn't really do it, but he's the first person that said something that I like to hear in that direction. If the companies are going to undercut U.S. labor and sell us out to other countries, then charge them a fortune when they bring their shit back home. That's what Trump was talking about doing.
Right, but the American people have been accustomed to so much cheap stuff that they're not. The transition that it would take to go back to that type of economy would be astronomical.
We were able to transition from a point of making everything in this country to letting it be made elsewhere. If we can go one way, we can go the other way in return. Yeah, it'll take some time, it'll take some hard work, but if we can do it one way, we can undo it.
Right, but that would mean that the American people would have to accept the added cost to switch it back to our economy. And we have seen through the last couple of years, they are not willing to accept added cost to anything to make us a better country.
That's when you go, and that's why I say that for the right that does not believe in government oversight and telling companies what to do, this will never happen. Even Trump was talking about imposing tariffs. it's going to be impossible to do it under a right-wing government because they don't really buy telling companies what to do. You would have to have a liberal progressive government in there because that's the kind of government that's going to pass laws that force companies to do things as opposed to letting the free market decide and letting them have their own decision-making powers. But it could be done. It could be, I mean, if you want to do an industry at a time, I mean, it could be done though.
Okay, so would you agree that we are now, right now, we are attempting to do that with the CHIPS Act? We are intentionally building factories in our country to build these chips that we need, so we can stop building them in China and even in Taiwan, so we can be self-sufficient. But that's going to take government intervention and government money to do, because the free market is never going to build a chip factory in the United States because it costs too much and it would take them so long to recoup their investment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The CHIPS Act is a perfect example, but I would also say Trump, drill baby drill, you know, becoming energy independent is also an example to some degree as well. I mean, everything we do, we need to start tailoring it towards doing more of it ourselves. Like I said, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. We didn't give up these jobs overnight. But slowly, industry by industry by industry, it could happen. But there's just so much greed that every step you take, it's like walking on the beach at high tide. Every step you take, there's going to be a greedy wave coming in there trying to undo it. So, and we only get leadership for a few years at a time before somebody else can be voted in or voted out. So getting several successive leaderships to all agree to is going to be hard as hell.
Right, but you know, it's a nice catchphrase when you say drill baby drill, and that's what Trump said today, drill baby drill, and it's going to rectify all of our problems. The one problem you run into is that I'm not going to say half, I'm going to say the majority of scientists say that fossil fuels are damaging our atmosphere in our world. So we can't. If we could say, like, you know, fossil fuels weren't affecting, you know, like we're starting to have, you know, bigger and stronger.
I get it. I believe in climate change. I understand. Your point is well taken. I do believe in climate change.
So saying we could just drill our way out of economic problems while we are still enduring all of the, you know, ecological problems. Like, I don't look. We said this the other day. It's people along the coast that can't even get insurance because of these storms are getting stronger. Yeah. They're getting worse and worse and worse. And guess what we paying on the back end? When the government has to go down to each one of these tragic areas, we have to put billions and billions and billions of dollars into trying to help these places that have had these disasters, instead of trying to get to the root cause, which scientists.
Yeah, but here's the problem. But then, Cal, here's the problem. Even if America adheres to alternative energy issues and pays attention to climate change, as long as the rest of the world is not doing it, I don't know how much benefit it's going to be. America can't fix the climate change issue by itself. We know China, one of the largest nations on the planet, is not adhering to it. So as long as these other developing nations that use a lot of fossil fuel continue to, give a thumbs down to it, I don't know if America cutting back is going to make a big difference. I mean, we'll just get everybody else's mess.
So the question I would ask you is, so since everybody else is not necessarily doing what we think they should do, should we stop? Because I'm with it either way we try to go. I'm just saying that we had an organization started to try to get these countries involved, and we had every major country involved. No, they did not live up to the things they were supposed to, but we had an organization, and Trump pulled us out of it, and he said it wasn't worth the money.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, just being honest.
The climate accord was an attempt to try to get other countries involved to try to get them to move a certain way.
Yeah, just being honest, you're not going to get this collective effort with a leader like Trump in there. And for the simple fact is, Trump is a nationalist and he believes in focusing only on his country. This has to be done through a unified effort globally. And Trump is talking about, I'm only going to worry about America. I don't care really about what's going on, in other countries. I'm a nationalist. I'm focused on America only. That's unfortunately not the kind of person you're going to have in and get success with this. You got to have somebody that's willing to, all of the agreements you're talking about, like the Paris Accord of, you need somebody that's trying to work to get deals done, not somebody to break deals and only focus on their own home country. So he probably is not the guy to get serious gains in climate control because he's not trying to work with anybody else. He's more focused on, he's a businessman. He's focused on the bottom line. And to some degree, focusing only on money is kind of what got us in this problem.
You're right.
Yeah.
So we can agree with that. I didn't mean to take my short time of, going towards that. I just put it on the table like, there is something else that's stopping us from being able to say, let's bring manufacturing back. But what I did want to address was some of the stuff that he said in his speech today, which part of it, he said in his speech today that he had an emergency, it was an emergency helicopter ride with Willie Brown.
Yes, I didn't even play it because it was so.
He told him all kinds of bad stuff about Kamala. That's what he said.
Yes, he did. Said the helicopter was going down and everything.
and Willie Brown had to say today, hell no, that didn't take place.
He responded?
Yeah, dude, this stuff is look, he was out there spitting some game tonight. And if you don't know, if you didn't know, you would take him at face value. Another thing he said today, when he was talking about how Kamala was gaining on him or the polls were switching in her favor, he basically said he's up with everybody. He said he's up with everybody. He said especially white men. He said
I saw that. He said black women. He admitted black women don't like him, but he said he's up especially with white men. I'm like, what do you think? Republican Party is always up with white men. That ain't nothing special. You don't get a cookie for that. Being Republican and doing well with white men, that kind of goes along with anything else. There's nothing special about that.
He said he really up with them now that Kamala's on ticket. Well, all right, let me move to the next. He said they was talking about you was talking about the stuff about the transgender stuff and the stuff that was passed by Walz in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
All right, I sat down and I look. I went over this law with somebody that's that's basically MAGA, and basically what I got out of the law, it does not say that children could just come to Minnesota and get what they want. What it said was if children were escaping a state that had imposed new rules on those children, that they could come there and get the type of services that they had been getting under law as it is in Minnesota. He didn't give them any new laws and say, now y'all can come here and just do whatever. But I just wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I figured there was more to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if we could do like a social experiment and say that, okay, if I'm a trans kid and I walk into your hospital without my parent and I say, hey, I haven't been
They fucking call the cops. They fucking call the cops on you. What the hell? You can't at 16. You just can't walk in and tell me I don't want to have transgender surgery. Yeah, that's insane.
But these people on the right are saying that these people are walking.
Yeah.
Children could just walk it. Look, if I'm running a hospital, that's a for-profit situation. You can't just walk in my hospital and say you want to get a procedure without insurance or no parent, or that's just nonsense.
Yeah, well, and you're right. You're right. They do believe it, but I got to move on. It's insane. I know it's insane, and I do understand that some of the procedures have alternative reasons why they give it. But on the right, they believe that if you're having that procedure, you're gay or you're mentally ill or something like that, and they don't even take any of that other stuff into account. Didn't Cal?
Right, so just one more quick thing.
Real quick.
It was about Walz and his service. I'm really concerned about the situation now because now they've got people that who served with him that are now coming out talking about how he eventually ended his military service. And that's a no-no. Anybody who has been in the service understands you do not come out and criticize and talk about another service member who has given their time in their life for service and start talking about whether you held a gun or not. I was in the Navy. I was on a ship, but I was in combat zones and my life was on the line. So regardless if I was, look, the percentage of people who actually held a gun in their hand is 0.000% of the amount of people that are in this country. For some people to be commenting on it like, oh, well, he never really held a weapon or whatever. If you spend 24 years of your life in the service, you have committed your life to serving and protecting this country.
Yeah.
So when I see another service member get on TV or get on social media, tell me, well, he said he had a gun, but he didn't really have a gun. That's so disrespectful.
Well, it's kind of working to a small, tiny degree, but we'll see. I don't think at the end of the day it's going to matter much because, like I said, Trump exaggerates about so much. To hold Walz accountable when his opposition is Trump, good luck with that. If Trump was a squeaky clean, totally by the book person and Walz was the only one, exaggerating and things like that, maybe. But you're going to blame Walz for exaggerations when his opposition is Trump is crazy. I got to move it on, though, Cal. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, good talk. All right, moving on with the program. And by the way, I wanted to, because he mentioned the one and only Willie Brown. Before I go back to the box, I haven't heard this yet. So I'm hearing this in real time with you folks. This is my first time hearing this. I don't know what's going to be said, but I'm curious because of how it was labeled.
Today, the former president continuing his attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris, this time bringing up former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. Trump claimed that Willie Brown was not a fan of Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Too many.
Of course, after the former president made these claims, we reached out to Willie Brown for his response. And I found him dining this afternoon at Sam's Grill. It's one of his favorite San Francisco restaurants. Mayor Brown is refuting Trump's claims and praising the vice president. Let's take a listen. Donald Trump is talking about you today.
That's what I heard. I heard that he was doing what Donald does best.
Which is?
His creativity fictional.
He's implying that you had negative things to say, maybe even locker room talk. Why would he say that?
Well, first and foremost, I could not envision thinking of Kamala Harris in any negative way. She was a good friend, long time ago. Absolutely beautiful woman, smart as all hell, very successful, electorally speaking. I was a part of every campaign that she's ever been involved in. Supported her religiously and will still do so. And I am just looking forward for the next 89 days. I just can't wait to get her in as president.
And about...
Now, I know a lot of you folks in the comments, surely on my beloved MAGA side, is simply going to say he responded to that because he tapped that ass. I see your comments, but it does go to show that they were able to get this man and correct Trump in real time. He's making it clear what Trump said is a lie. Now, I know if you support Trump, you're going to believe Trump over the guy himself. But that guy within a few hours is already on TV saying that what Trump said is a lie. So we'll leave it at that. I had never heard that before. But like I said, if you want to defend Trump, you're going to suggest that Willie Brown only said that because he tapped that ass and still feel hurt. It still want to hit it again or something wild like that. Ed G says he exaggerates as much as Kamala exaggerates her accents, depending on what her crowd looks like. Fair enough. And yeah, I do believe there's a clip of Kamala Harris with a made-up Southern accent. At the end of the day, politicians do exaggerate. And Kamala Harris is no exception to that. I believe Hillary Clinton was on the Breakfast Club with hot sauce in her purse, claiming she carries hot sauce around because the audience was black. Nancy Pelosi dancing in African garb with Africans. I mean, they do, but Trump stating he done more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. That's some bullshit. That's pandering as well. So they all do it. Let me go back to the box. I don't think anybody is immune to doing it. Going to Mr. Rational Debater. Somehow I don't feel like this is going to be easy, but let's make it happen. We don't block, ban, or censor. You don't have to have the same opinion. You can be critical of the host. Anyone in the comment section. That's what free speech is about. Mr. Rational, good evening.
Good evening. And for one, guys, chat, let's get Mr. Handsome to the Handsome to a 100,000 likes. Let's make that happen, please.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's get the likes going. Guys, can you get... This man goes live every single day. He is dedicated. No one is more dedicated than him. He sits here every single day spitting the truth, being as neutral and as rational as he possibly can be. And you guys are sitting here with less than 1,000 likes, with less than 100 shares. Guys, step it up. Okay.
Now you're being so kind. There has to be an ass kicking in this somewhere. Continue.
I just want to make sure there's as much razzle dazzle and as many eyes on this as possible.
Thank you. Well, I brought you on for the free speech and the ass kicking part, but I'll definitely appreciate the accolades. Thank you. Continue.
I appreciate you. Well, I think after watching that video, you just show. I mean, it seems like a little bit of politics, but it seems like Trump is just being petty. And this is what Trump does.
What is the difference between being petty and lying?
Sorry?
What is the difference between being petty and lying?
Between what Trump does,
well,
it's a thin line.
Yeah, because Trump said that Willie Brown and him almost went down in a helicopter accident. Is that petty or is that lying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's lying.
All right, keep going.
That's what Trump does.
Yeah.
Wait, you know I align more with the left than the right, so
I'm learning. I thought you were MAGA at first. I'm about to get the ass kick and I want to get it, but okay.
Used to be MAGA.
Really?
No, it wouldn't be. Well, I mean, aren't you just okay? Well, you have to be as neutral as you can, though.
True, but you used to be MAGA.
Yeah, I did, like 3 months ago.
3 months? What the hell happened?
A lot happened. I mean, the court cases, all the exposure of Trump being liable for different offenses. I mean, a lot happened.
You really were supporting Trump up to 3 months ago and you switched? Wow. You're the first person I've ever talked to that said, I have talked to some MAGA that was a bit disenchanted with Trump, but they switched quite a while back. 3 months? Really?
Oh, no, and I did it before Trump was even convicted. I was listening to the testimony of Michael Cohen, and that was the point. And I mean, listen, if you're sensible and you pay attention, all paths lead to Trump not being a good president, not being the next person we ought to be voting for. He's very problematic. I mean, now it's even more problematic because he has nothing to lose.
I've heard that before.
He has nothing to, and and he has nothing to lose, right? And look at what he did when he had something to lose. Now he's just going to go. There's nothing that's going to stop this man from going full tilt. That's what I'm worried about.
What when you say full tilt? I want you to not exaggerate. Elaborate on what does going full tilt mean? Like, what are you concerned that he might actually do?
January 6th times 5, something like that, right?
Wow.
I mean, if Trump did what he did on January 6th, when he had something to lose, when he was the incumbent to be the president for 4 more years, good lordy God, like, imagine what he's going to do now, chat. Imagine that, guys. Get Hanson to 100,000 likes. Can you get the man to 100 shares? Make that happen. Make that happen.
Well, according to
let's get to business. We ain't fucking like the man's. He's preaching the truth. He has, guys. He's not up here just limbo. We're not doing this for no reason. And by the way, someone sent him a galaxy. Holy shit! If he doesn't get a galaxy in the next 30 seconds, I'm gonna get triggered.
Shit, I haven't had a galaxy in about 4 days.
100 shares and 1 galaxy. Make it happen.
I haven't had a galaxy in probably damn near 4 or 5 days. Let me. But thank you for the solicitation. So, now, well, there you go.
Finally, now not to me, guys, not to me. No, to the host, guys, to the host. No, chat. I'm gonna. Now you have to send 2 galaxies to the host. No, guys, not to me, to the host. Guys, the hostess with the mostest. They call him the handsome, right?
You're killing me.
He's well spoken, and not only is he good looking, but his arguments are good looking.
Okay, all right, you're killing me. All right,
guys, 2 galaxies for that. Seriously, make it happen. Get the man to 100,000 likes. Get him to 100 shares right now. Make it happen. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh my God, you pimping me out hard. There we go, baby.
There we go, baby.
Who, by the way, politically.
2 more, guys. How many can you go? Keep going. Keep going.
What is this? A TikTok shop? What is this?
Every single second of it. He is out here doing the Lord's work once or twice a week. So probably more hours than you guys can think. And the galaxies count, but guys, send this man a TikTok. Send him the biggest gift you guys could ever think of.
Okay, I actually need to.
Keep sharing. Sorry.
I need to hire you. You definitely.
That's my bad. I apologize.
You the best hype man since Flavor Flav. And by the way, thank you for the 100,000 likes. I really appreciate that. You got me blushing, and I'm dark skinned. So
just drop it on his head. Drop it on this man's head right now. Just do it, chat. Just do it. Make it happen. Guys, look at all these people. Look at all these. You have the deepest. You know what? You have an untapped well of support, a well that overflows, sir, and you overflow with our cup, a cup of a nation that we are tired. We want to not be overflown with bullshit. We want righteousness. We want correctness. This is what we're gonna get in our country, guys. That's not enough. That is not enough. Keep it going. Make it happen.
I think I've gotten more support since you've been soliciting for the channel in the last couple of minutes than I've gotten over several days. So I do appreciate that. Probably several days. So thank you.
Well, you deserve it. Actually, you deserve it more than you know.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy being in the middle, though. I tell you something. That's because being in the middle, you're not gonna have a lot of friends in the middle. I'm a sellout on Uncle Tom to the left, and I'm a libtard and idiot to the right. So I understand, but I believe in free speech to a fault, even if it isn't always the most profitable place to be. I do believe everybody should speak, and both the left and right don't often enjoy that. They favor their side, and they don't believe you should allow that. So it's challenging, but I do appreciate those who have showed the program some love. Thank you, by the way, Mr. Rational Debate. That was anything but rational, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Guys, drop it, guys. It's not enough, guys. A little bit more. A little bit more goes a lot ways. Keep hitting that like button, guys. Watch. He doesn't know the support he has. Guys, show this man the support he has. He deserves it. He can fight every single day. And Republicans watch him. Democrats watch him. Independents watch him. So let's keep watching. And guys, it ain't Baywatch, right? It's a little bit prettier than that. I have to say, they don't call him the handsome for nothing. Well, let's just be honest, you guys. Step it up. Keep liking, keep sharing. Guys, let's get the man to 200 shares. Give him 200 shares. Let's make it happen, guys.
How do you even?
The biggest gift he's ever had, guys. Somebody drop the biggest gift this man has ever.
How do
had.
you? Let me ask that question because I'm not. I deliver a decent product, but I don't know some of the internets. How do you know how many? Because I don't even solicit shares. How can you even tell how many shares you got? I don't even know how to tell that.
Oh, you have 169. 169. Now 175. Almost 200. Let's go. Bottom right corner, my friend. Guys, hit those heart me's, by the way. It's a penny subscription for the host. Hit those heart me's. It'll be a heart on top of his head. You'll see it slide into your right.
Yes.
The bottom right corner, guys. Hit those heart me's. Hit those gifts. Do everything you can, guys. Sharing is caring. Tapping is clapping. And let's clap these MAGA cheeks. I'm saying, guys, we have a ways to go, but this country is going to be a lot better for people like this young gentleman here, the handsome liberal. That's what they call him. Guys, on that note, I got to get going.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Before I go, drop it on this man's head. I love you guys. He deserves it. Every single penny. Do not gift me, gift him. Love you guys. Have a great night. Guys, someone drop something really big. Something so spicy, so delicey, because he's been so nicey. Have a great night.
You too. All right. Now, flattery will get you everywhere. And I thank you, Mr. Rational Debater. I've never seen somebody promote my program to that level. Wow. I've never seen that. And listen, at the end of the day, and he was left. I thought he was MAGA at first. I was looking forward to a good old-fashioned right-wing ass kissing. I didn't know. I mean, kicking. A good old-fashioned right-wing ass kicking. I didn't expect him to be to the left, but I do appreciate what he did for the show as well. I don't normally solicit the gifts and the share. I like for the program to have for it to be organically entertaining. You know, I don't want to come across as if it's a grift or, I do it. Listen, at the end of the day, I like support and all of the love like anybody else does on social media. But if you notice, I don't solicit it because I do like for the program to be enjoyable and not to come across like a reverend just trying to collect money. I appreciate those who do show the program support. And as I always say, I do give the subscribers first digs in the comments. But at the end of the day, it's a good show and you don't have to pay a penny to entertain. All right, going back to the box though, if somebody says, where's Takesha? It's late. She's probably not up this late. Hell, I shouldn't be. But this speech that Trump gave this conference was, let's just say controversial at best. Real quick in the comments, thank you for the super chat. Ed G, same can be said about Kamala. She has nothing to lose. No one voted for her last time, so being put in place now might be the only time she has. Well, I think Kamala has, I think Trump probably has more to lose than Kamala. Because if Kamala loses, like as you're pointing out correctly, Edgy, she lost before, and considering she's not quite 60, she could run again 2 or 3 more times. So if she doesn't win this time, she can run again. Trump, on the other hand, if he loses, he could end up in prison. Trump certainly has more to lose than Kamala Harris because he's not just running to save the country. He could be running to save his own ass. I mean, the cases that he's dealing with, if Kamala wins, my guess is they're going to do something to control or better yet offset all of the loss the liberals have made in the Supreme Court. 6-3 majority. You got folks ruling that Trump has immunity without even defining it. They've legalized bribery in the Supreme Court. My guess is if the liberals win, they're going to either pack the court or start passing laws to override some of the bullshit the courts did that they believe is just pro-Trump, pro-right-wing, and just taking us backwards. So Trump has more to lose, in my opinion. Looking in the comments, but it says he exaggerates as much as Kamala exaggerates her accents. I did read that. And Angie, you said, what's your policy for your campaign, Kamala? Here's Megan Thee Stallion. You're saying that her policy for her campaign was Megan Thee Stallion twerking What's your policy on the border? Kamala hears Cardi B twerking. It's a lot of love for those two girls you mentioned. I get your point that morally, for the older crowd, people in our age category, and certainly on the white side of America, you know, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are not exactly the picture of morality. But them two individuals you just named has a huge following. By the way, Kid Rock shooting beer cans, that is not exactly a picture of morality either. So I want to point that out. But yeah, having Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B on your side as a Democrat is actually worth quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of young voters that come along with them. Them two ladies got millions of fans. I wouldn't discount that. And I see JoJo pointed out Hulk Hogan. I would probably think that now Hulk Hogan's fans are going to be in our age category. We all, you know, us who grew up in the 80s, maybe early 90s. Hulk Hogan has a lot of fans. I'm not going to pretend like he does not. But Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B combined are going to have that. I don't know what generation that's called. What is it? Generation Z or whatever the hell it is. The under 30 crowd. That's them. They're not Hulk Hogan fans in that crowd. They barely even know who the hell he is. So that's not a bad thing to do, to have Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Get with the program. People twerk. You're pointing out that she twerks or whatever the hell that Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion does. When we were children, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, the shit we were doing, our parents thought it was wrong too. I mean, you just sound like a get off my lawn type person. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are what they like. They're here to stay. Continuing on with the program, and thank you folks that have tapped the screen. 136,000. That was certainly due to my last caller. I appreciate that solicitation. Going back to the box, I want to bring in one of my subscribers, Arsha. Arsha Fine? Good evening. Welcome to the program, Arsha. Did you hear Trump's speech today? Arsha, are you there?
Oh my God. I did. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you got a delay or a bad signal or something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your signal's bad.
Yeah, I'm in my car. I'm pulling over.
Yeah, because I'll give you a second. Yeah, I may have to drive. I'll give you a second to see if it improves. I mean, you're just breaking it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop you. I can't. You're coming in and out.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, if you can't come back through. Looking in the comments here, in the super chat. Thank you, NG. Me and my friends, Gen Z, all big Hulkamania fans. You know, Gen Z. That's my generation. I think that's 1965 or what, 1970s, something like that. 1965 to about 1980 if you're born in that era. I think that's Gen Z. Gen Z is not fans of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion generally. It's an older generation. Yeah, the older generation likes Hulk Hogan. I get that. But I don't know what generation, the ones that are just turning 18 to 21, what generation is that called now? I'm not up on the terms they're using. I am an old man, my damn self. Let me continue on. I was trying to bring up Top Dog. Good evening. Gen X. Is that Gen X, the younger folks now? Laugh my ass off. Hey, what? Do you know what these generations are? What gen? Okay, myself, I'm 52. What generation is that?
I have no clue. I was born in '84. I think I'm a Gen. You gotta ask somebody in the chat, Tim.
Yeah, they said I'm Gen X. I'm Gen X then.
All right, there you go.
Okay, I'm learning. That's what I say. I don't always know the answers. I don't know what the hell that stuff means. All right, no, Gen Z is younger. Okay, so Gen Z. Is that the for you folks in the comments, because me and the caller both, we're clueless. The Gen Z, now somebody said Gen Z is 1995 to 2012. Yeah, them some young motherfuckers there. Okay, so Gen Z is the young, and you're saying you're Gen Z. Somebody in the comments, Ed G said he's Gen Z, and we're Hulkamania fans. Really? You were born from between 1995 and 2012, and you're a fan of Hulk Hogan? Where do you even come in contact with him, man? Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan wrestled up to 2010, 11, 12. You know, he wrestled for, you know, he didn't retire not too long ago.
Yeah, but well, as a if you're born in 1995,
and he still shows his face, you know, at all the big, WrestleMania and stuff like that. So
yeah, but it seemed like you would be a fan of The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or John Cena. Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan was polarizing at one point, so you know.
Yeah. Maybe okay, maybe so. I just assume you're born in 1995. I mean, I grew up with Hulk Hogan, and I was born in '72, and I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. But he was on TV back in the '80s. Like you're born in '95. By the time you're old enough to even know what you're looking at, he's almost done.
Yeah. Yeah, they might not be a big fan. They might have knew who he was, but they wasn't just big fans like that. Cause like you said, by the time they realized who he was pretty much
I mean, yeah. By the time you born in 1995, you're not watching TV with any understanding until you're at least 5 or 6, and I mean that's the year 2000. Hulk Hogan he's pretty much on the way out, and that's if you're born in 95. If you're born in 2012, you really don't know who he is.
Yeah, his bigger years was all through the 90s, you know what I mean? That's when he just blew up through the 90s.
Right. So that doesn't make sense. That can't be too many people from that generation being Hulk Hogan fan. But getting on to the subject, did you see Trump's speech today, his press conference?
Oh, yes, sir. I went back and watched it again, yep.
What you think?
Just Trump being Trump, exaggerating everything, trying to be boastful and trying to bait her into doing a press conference so he can say, well, look what I'm doing. She's not doing it. Just typical Trump. But I really feel like the way I felt about that press conference, like Trump, nobody really want to hear you talk right now. They really don't.
Well,
he's out there getting all his accomplishments, which I understand what he's doing, but Trump, we've heard it before. Trump, we've heard it. It's nothing new.
Well, I never heard the man say he had a bigger crowd than Martin Luther King.
Oh, well, once again, that's Trump exaggerating thing. That's why he was found liable in New York in the Fried trial for exaggerating the square size of his square foot size of his building. Same thing.
Yeah, but that's almost is that to some degree not a bit disrespectful almost? Why are you comparing yourself to Martin Luther King?
Well, see, the thing, Tim, now, and you said before in your show, Trump have made politics where nothing is like, oh my God, did he say that? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's nothing new. He made politics kind of pretty much normal, where there's no limits to it right now.
But we know something, and I do agree with you that he's made it quite common to exaggerate, and somebody said alternative facts or which the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's odd that they're pointing out that Tim Walz said he carried a gun in combat and exaggerated a few things when we're overlooking Trump exaggerating crowd size and all kinds of shit.
Well, that's what they do. When he comes to Trump, he was like this, Tim, because he does it so much. He lied and exaggerated so much. So when he does, it's nothing normal. There's no shock value with it anymore. It's like somebody that always lies all the time. So when they do lie, it doesn't surprise anybody. It's like he's continuing doing what he's known for doing.
Yeah, well, it has worked up to a point. Do you think Kamala has a real chance of defeating him?
Oh, yeah, she got definitely a good chance of defeating him. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is not 2016 Trump. This is the 1975, 76, fat Elvis. You know what I mean? This is the,
You said the 1976 fat Elvis?
Yeah, this is the big Elvis. The Elvis, when he was big towards the end of his life. You know what I mean? But this ain't Trump in 2016 where he was smart. Now it's like all his jabs, all his gut shots. It doesn't ring anymore. It's like an old comedian that his jokes are just old. So when he do it now, it's like, are you still talking like that? Oh, okay, that's just Trump being Trump. You know what I mean? So he's going to continue to do it, continue to turn people away from him, and hopefully we can pull it off. My biggest fear, Tim, with this election, Trump is a slick motherfucker. You know what I mean? Trump, he's not no dummy. So what I'm getting to is, I think what he's setting up now for the election election, he's setting it up to come up with a reason to take it to the court system. Last time he took it to 60 courts, they all denied him. Say he get one this time. Say he get one. They say, you know what? We want to hear the case the day after the election. Just say something happens in the election where you want to take it to the court system. Well, you know what his goal is, right? Get it up there to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
If we lose, they say we lost, but we feel like we lost or something happened within the ballots, whatever it may be. That's his insurance on the election. If he don't win that way, he's gonna pull something to get it to the Supreme Court.
I have thought about that. I've kind of put it, out of my mind recently, but I do agree with you that if Trump alleges fraud took place and somehow, some way this time, unlike in 2020, gets it to the Supreme Court, this time I do believe they would hear the case and likely at the very least hold off certifying the election on it. I mean, I strongly believe the Supreme Court is in his back pocket at this point. So what you're saying could happen. I certainly do not believe a 6-3 Republican Supreme Court can be counted on to be unbiased. And I would tell you this to my MAGA side of the aisle. You wouldn't believe it if it was a 6-3 liberal Supreme Court. So, I mean, with it that far to the right, they're going to rule in his favor.
Yeah, if they rule in Trump's favor, nobody's going to believe it. So he don't need to go there. But the only way to get around that, Tim, he got to be a blowout on the ballots. You got to get him by 5, 10, 15, 10 million votes ahead of him. If we go out there and blow him out by 10 million votes and dominate like that on the Democratic side, everybody get out and vote, and we blow him out by 10 million votes, I don't care what they say.
You're basically saying what MAGA says, too big to rig. Win by enough that they can't rig it.
Oh, yeah. There won't be no misunderstanding. We won by like 5 or 6 last time with Joe Biden. So we can knock it up to like 10 and just where it's no misunderstanding. It ain't nothing you can say to account for 10 million votes. We'll be just fine.
You think there's that kind of love for Kamala out there?
Man, right now, I believe we can do something right now. I feel like this right here, Tim. I feel like the Democratic Party is more energized now than it was in Joe Biden.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't deny it. I don't disagree with that at all.
Reminded me somewhat like I'm not going to say Obama, but going back towards that way a little bit. You know what I mean? So, but the only thing is, you got to keep that momentum going for 90 more days, and that's hard.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But I got to move it on, but I agree with you 100%. There's far more energy in the Democratic Party now that Kamala is at the top of the ticket than it was with Biden. In fact, I was listening to reading an article earlier. Biden's favorable numbers went up by double digits once he dropped out because the Democrats are pissed off with him. Like, get your old ass out the way. Once he did it, all of a sudden Biden is starting to look like a hero to the Democratic Party because he was willing to make that sacrifice. So the energy is there. But Top Dog, you know what I got to do. Appreciate you coming in here.
All right, we'll talk. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely a pleasure. Moving on with the program. Really wanted to, by way of, I just wanted, because somebody made an interesting recommendation, and I'll go ahead and entertain it. One word in the comments in regards to who you favor, Trump or Kamala. I want to see somewhat of an impromptu poll. Trump or Kamala, who are you likely? May change your mind between now and November. Trump or Kamala, who are you likely to vote for? I just want to see in the comments. Somebody stated, and I do believe it's worthy of seeing. So I want to look at, now my YouTube is more to the right, so I want to see what's on. I see on TikTok, far more folks are saying Kamala. I'm starting to have more liberals on YouTube as well. Wow. I should have said put a red heart in there, but I see, okay, there's a host of Trump supporters. Wow, YouTube is starting to go to the left as well. Kamala could only win by cheating, says battery-powered Gardner. That's where the election fraud claims come from. If you have the mindset that the only way the Democrats can win is by cheating, then that means you will not ever accept a loss, because the only way you can lose is if the other side cheats. I would say you probably don't go into the election with that mindset. Don't go into the election thinking your candidate is perfect. Kamala Harris can definitely lose, but damn it, so can Trump. The idea that the only way your side can lose if the other side cheats, that's how this stuff starts. Because if you believe your side cannot legitimately lose, then you believe that any win on the other side is fraudulent. That's where this stuff comes from. Looking in the comments, what do you think about York passing a law for 100% paper ballots for the next election, 89 days until the election? I'm not a fan of it. I don't believe paper ballots makes the election safer. If you get rid of mail-in ballots, if you get rid of internet, or if you only can come into a polling place and vote, that means the election is going to be safer with an ID. I don't buy into that. Because you can fake IDs, you can buy off polling. The right had no problem suggesting that Ruby Freeman and her mom, that mom and daughter team, that was at a polling place. They had no problem suggesting that they were cheating. Passing, what did Giuliani say? Passing USB drives around like vials of crack, suggesting that polling places were cheating because they made people stand 25 feet back instead of 6 feet back. Suggesting that polling officers were cheating because they were boarding up windows or closing windows. So having it at a polling place, that doesn't guarantee that the election is going to be fair because you made everybody get off the couch and come to the place. The reason the right wants to have people come in and vote is simple. High voter turnout usually does not work well for the right. So anytime you hear someone suggesting making, and I'll say this, by the way, it works both on the left and the right. It's not just the right. The left wants voting to be easy as possible because high voter turnout usually works well for people on the left. Now, making it easy to vote does increase the possibility of fraud, but high voter turnout helps the left. Now, on the right, they don't want to make it easy to vote because they believe making it easier to vote can increase fraud. That is true. However, if you make it too strict to vote, you reduce fraud, but what you also start doing is making it so that legitimate voters are not either able to vote or that their votes don't count, such as this signature match that the right is trying to impose, or suggesting if you skip the last election, they're going to clean the voter rolls. So anytime you hear someone try to make it easier to vote, they're likely to be a Democrat. Anytime you try to you hear someone try to make it harder to vote, they're likely to be a Republican because, like I said, higher voter turnout works well for the Democrats. Lower voter turnout usually works well for the right. There's legitimate reasons to do both. But like I said, if you make it too easy to vote, fraud can happen. If you make it too hard to vote, you can end up preventing somebody who had a legitimate right to vote from casting their ballot. Long polling lines where a person got to vote, got to be in line 10 hours to vote because you limited where they can go and you're making it so they all got to come off the couch and vote and they all got to do it on election day from a small period of hours. That's what the right is suggesting. That can make it so that people who legally would have been able to vote aren't able to get their vote in. Somebody who's elderly, somebody who's sick, because now the sick person only gets to vote on that day between these hours. If you can't make it then you just don't get to vote. And so I'm not a fan of that because that is the equivalent of Republican fraud. That's fraud as well. When you're making it so that people who legitimately should be able to vote are running into all these damn hurdles because you're making it so hard to do. Looking in the comments, Philip Allen McCracken. Just everyone become a reporter on the spot if something is fishy. I'm okay with that, but at the same time, don't take it too damn far. Such as when the right was suggesting that polling posters should let them stand 6 feet behind them instead of 25 feet so they can see what's going on. If somebody want to stand 6 feet over my shoulder and stare at everything I'm doing, you're already on bad terms with me. You're making it clear you think I'm cheating. That's the only reason why your ass is there. I don't want that. if you scrutinize the voting process too much, you start making people uncomfortable. And to some degree, in my humble opinion, I think that's kind of the goal. You start scaring people and people don't want to show up to vote because you're hanging around places. Maybe some folks are exercising their Second Amendment rights to open carry, and now they're hanging around polling offices and shit like that, talking about, I want to make sure the voting is free and fair, scaring the hell out of people. I'm not a fan of that. I'm simply not a fan of that. I do believe that if you try to make voting too hard, that is just as fraudulent as making it easy. And yeah, on the right, they believe in a lot of limitations on who can. In fact, I think they were passing a law that said you can't have like pop-up voting offices. Like some places, some towns would have like you see these religious tents, like they would have church service in the tent. Well, they would have polling offices like that. So we got a polling place on, such and such street. There's some polling offices down there. You can come down there and vote. Well, the Republican Party started passing laws saying that you can only vote in a building that is already constructed, and it has to be made of brick or something like that. I read one time. It sounds ridiculous, but this happened. You can't just have a pop-up voting office. Why not? If the person is a sworn-in voting official, who gives a damn how they collect the vote? We don't want drive-up voting. So you got a polling office and the polling officials are standing outside to speed things up. You can drive by in your car, hand them your ballot, and they'll take it. We don't want that. We want you to have to get out of the car, park, come in, show your ID. You're trying to make it deliberately harder. That doesn't make it safer by forcing that person to get out of the car. It makes it harder. And that's what I do believe a lot of folks on the right want, because lower turnout is better for the right. Looking in the comments. Like I said, if you are a sworn-in polling official, your job is to, you're no more legit at a polling place than you are standing outside collecting ballots or viewing them over a computer. You're a sworn officer of the process. You don't need to force this person to be meeting face to face. That don't guarantee anything. I submit to you this. Facial recognition software and software in regards to your fingerprint are probably far more effective at weeding out fraudulent characters than having another human being scan an ID. You know how many people get by folks with fake IDs, clubs, bars, purchasing cigarettes at a gas station. Fake IDs, you're dependent on another human being to look at an ID and determine if it's real. A computer doing facial recognition software and a finger, that's going to be way more effective than another human being looking at an ID. You could have facial recognition software on a computer. You don't need to force people to come down to a polling office. That's a hurdle that's deliberately put up. In 2024, paper ballots, really? We don't have any better technology than having somebody use a pen and pad on paper in 2024. That's insane. That's a hurdle. That ain't more safety. That ain't lowering fraud. That's an intentional hurdle to make the process that much more challenging. You got to get off the couch and come in to vote. Because I know if we made voting online, all of the young folks under 30 would probably just do it on their phone and cast a ballot real quick. But if we force them to come down to the polling office and stand in a long gas line, maybe on a hot day, a lot of them won't show up. That's the goal. The goal is to make it harder to do. Looking in the comments, don't trust the Fed, man. They will take that same face recognition system and abuse the shit out. You don't think they might not do the same thing with a person at a polling office? There is no system that is foolproof. But the idea that the best system you could ever have is another human being judging IDs over computers, because the computers can be hacked. Like the polling official can't be paid off. Like the ID can't be duplicated or a fake ID can't be made. That's insane. By the way, I mentioned signature match as well. How many of you folks, if required to sign a document, feel confident your signature on that document would look the same as your driver's license signature. That might be 5-10 years old. I don't think my signature will look the same because I usually just scratch some shit down. My signature doesn't look the same from document to document. Signature match in 2024 is insane. But the right promotes that stuff. Like I said, anytime you hear somebody making it easier to vote, it's the Democrats. Easier to vote can sometimes leave more avenues to commit fraud. Anytime you hear somebody making it harder to vote, it's Republicans. And that doesn't leave the avenues open for fraud. What it does is it makes it so that legitimate voters may have votes that never get cast. Because the system is so strict, you're starting to weed out legitimate voters. Going back to the box. We'll try it again with Arshafine. Good evening. Welcome to the program. You would think that they would be suspicious. Look, I don't believe that people are that gung-ho to cheat. Like, I mean, it's one vote. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but Arsha, good evening.
Wait. Hold on. Hello.
I'm here.
What's happening? Okay, sorry. Oh my God, I got Kendrick Lamar playing.
You got.
Hold on a second.
You got.
Listen, please don't drop me. Please don't drop me. Please don't drop me. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, fix your shit. Wait, don't keep saying you're holding up the show.
Please
But
I know Kendrick Lamar. I'm trying to get. Gosh, dang it. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Don't drop me, bro.
Okay.
I got. Hold on.
Okay. In the comments, there must be voting monitors at every building and counting place. I don't see why you can't vote remotely. I don't see the mandate. I don't see the need to mandate coming down to a polling place. I don't believe that makes it safer. Arsha, are you there?
Right, handsome. I'm here.
Okay.
Hey,
good evening.
Hi. How are you?
Good to have you back on. So did you see his speech today?
I did. I'm sorry that I was like. So I live in Hawaii.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah. So I'm a biracial Black woman that lives in Hawaii, and that's why I'm able to listen to you most of the time.
What are you're biracial? What do you mix with?
We've talked about this. My dad was Black. My mom is white.
Okay.
Caucasian, whatever.
All right.
Anyway, yes, I listened to it today.
What you think?
And I felt like I lost brain cells.
Not a fan, huh?
No, it's not that. It's like I've smoked weed, I've done psychedelics, I've done all kinds of things, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've never come out this way feeling so jacked up.
Damn. Let me ask you, what I want to ask you is, what is the wildest thing that you heard? But before you answer that, Philip Allen McCracken, I love your idea. It would be better to make it a national holiday. It is longer than 1 day. There is room to change. I agree with that 100%. Make election day a holiday, giving people plenty of time to vote.
It should be.
But I'll tell you right off the bat, if you would have resistance, to doing that, and it would come from the right. They would say it hurts small business to lose the labor or something of that nature.
What I actually want is everybody mail in your ballot, because you don't have to take off the day.
Yeah. I like the holiday. Give me the day off.
Well, I know, but you know, Tim, these people are freaking crazy. Anyway.
So what did Trump say that concerns you the most?
Oh my God.
That much.
You want me to start? Can you give me a song where you want me to start?
I got a real good one for you. Hang on, let me cue up this album. I'm gonna play this album for you because I want you to give me your take on this one. This is let me get the right time here. Give me a second. 3308. This one I think is interesting. And they're gonna play an ad for 2 seconds here. One and skip. All right, listen
really
to this.
The radical ones in this, because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota.
Can you hear me? You got a real loud background.
I'm sorry, I'm on the road. Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'll make sure, because it sounds like you're shoveling snow or something over there.
I'm good.
All right, okay. Here goes.
Okay.
People would have thought, but it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, you know, when you think about the radical, the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota,
it gets worse.
He's talking about, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born. We will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination.
I'll stop it there, but go ahead.
For the love of God, please stop, okay?
What do you think after birth? A live baby?
Wait, I have so much to say and why'd you bring that on me? Okay, first off.
You asked.
First off, nobody's doing that. It's against the law.
Well, the people on the right think that's happening. The people on the right believe.
Quiet, no, and okay, and they are misinformed. I want to say something nasty, but I'm not gonna. Listen, I have 2 boys. Mm-hmm. If they were to come out of my body and be like, you know, bruh, I'm over it. I don't want a kid. I would go to prison today if they were to kill my children. Yeah. Infanticide is a crime. It's not abortion. It's not the same thing. Anyway, whatever. But what I really want to talk to you about, Tim, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Is I listened to him today, and he's scared.
Elaborate. What do you mean scared? You think he's scared of Kamala?
I think he's scared. He's always talking about crowd size, which leads me to believe he's got a small dick.
Oh my God! What? You sounded wild as he. Wow.
And just quiet. Just let me talk for a second because I've been thinking about this for a while. And he's always talking about crowd size. How many men? Oh, and he was so excited because he got a Cybertruck as a gift for him. Oh my gosh! Have you seen the Cybertruck?
It looks like the DeLorean almost from Back to the Future. It's a weird looking vehicle. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, and it obviously inflates his penis. And, you know, he's always talking about crowd sizing and all of this. But the fact of the matter is, when I was listening to this thing, I really almost kind of felt bad for him.
Why? He's a very successful businessman.
But he can't speak articulately.
Shit, he's done very damn well in life. I mean, he's what is he, almost 80? He's done pretty damn well doing whatever he's done. So I don't think there's any need to feel sorry for Trump.
Tim, he's a fucking idiot. Okay, so did you listen to the same thing he was saying? Like, I was like, did I take mushrooms or acid today where I'm having a bad trip and some crazy, like, gremlin is talking to me? Like, okay, by the way, you are Gen X. Okay. I'm Gen X. I was born in 1974. You were born in 1972. Okay. You're very cute. I'm married. I'm not trying to hit on you.
All right.
Wait, whoa. I'm not trying to hit on you, but my family is from Chicago. Anyway, this guy, it's like, I listened to him today and I was like, oh, do you even, he doesn't speak knowledge.
Yeah. It works though. I mean, his party believes what he said is accurate.
No, Tim, no.
You don't believe MAGA believes what he's saying is true?
What I believe is that Kamala and Tim, your twin,
Tim Scott? Wait, my twin Tim Scott? What the fuck? Is that what you're talking, Tim Scott?
No, Walz.
Oh, okay. All right, keep going.
Okay. What I believe as a female who is Gen X is that finally we have hope and joy.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Don't say anything. When I turned 18, my hope was Clinton because, and I voted, and then we had, but there was nobody made man, it was like Barack Obama was like a freaking Rolling Stone rock star, right? And I actually saw him like twice in my home state, and I feel like Kamala and Walz are that same people.
Well, I think Barack Obama earned his a little bit more than Kamala. I think a lot of Kamala's flair is coming from. Hold on, hang on, let me speak now.
Okay.
A lot of Kamala's flair is coming out of hatred for Trump. When Obama rose to the top, it was due to love for Obama. Kamala's rising to the top off of hatred to Trump. A large portion of her constituency, there was no hatred for McCain or Romney like that. There is hatred for Trump.
Okay, I've been to Obama's things, and there was hatred for the Republican Party of what they did with the wars. Okay, so it was that and
it wasn't like it is now. Okay. I'm gonna have to move it on, but it wasn't like it is now. I'll give you I do got to move it on, but I'll give you the last word. Clear it up.
Wait, Tim, you give a lot of freaking MAGA more time than me. I subscribe. I pay my fucking money. Shut the fuck up. And
Hey! You ain't paying that much fucking money.
Listen, I love you. You're beautiful and handsome. I just want to say something for 1 second.
Let me hear it.
I am born in 1974. We are Gen X. Okay?
All right.
I have never... There's only 2 times... Or wait, no. This is my 3rd time in life being excited to vote. If we lose, I'm fine. If we win... Woo! I'm a girl, boy. I am gonna be shooting off some fireworks, saying "fuck you, motherfuckers, we won." But anyway, I'm in Hawaii. I just
Arsha, are you lit right now? Yeah. Folks are suggesting you own something.
Excuse me?
Are you lit right now? Folks are suggesting you sound like you might be on something. What say you?
Oh, fuck yeah, I've been smoking some weed.
Now, are you trying to join the ranks of Tim Walz? You know you're a DUI right now.
I'm a what?
You are a DUI, DWI, OUI, OWI. I don't know what they call it in Hawaii, but you are operating while under the influence.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Oh, wait. Tim?
Yes?
Come visit the island, and you'll have fun.
Now I'm feeling good. All right, I gotta move it on. I'm going to pretend like you Trump. I'm going to take that out of context because I'm sure read between the lines. I got to move it on, though. Appreciate it, Arsha. Wow. Thank you. You made my evening. I'm going to pretend like that's Trump. I'm actually taking her out of context, okay? I'm going to pretend like I'm taking her out of context. Ed G rather, and Ed definitely says she sounds like she's on shrooms compared to Trump. Ed, you were, now she says she was a little bit of ganja, a little bit of weed, so you were fairly accurate, just the wrong choice of stimulant, or would that be a depressant? Stimulant? What, marijuana is probably, that's probably a depressant, is it? Is it, if they even label it? I don't know if it's even called. It does not stimulate you, right? I mean, let me know in the comments, folks. I am certainly a nerd. I'm a nerd on this subject. A downer, yeah, okay, a depressant. I'm a nerd on this. I have never, be honest with you, I've never tried marijuana in my life. Never. In fact, I've never had anything. Never tried cigarettes, never tried alcohol. I've never had even a wine cooler or a beer in my life. So I am permanently sober. But I enjoy talking to the folks who are on a little shit because they make for good conversation. Cindy Rogers says, cut her off. She's disrespectful as fuck. She is, but she's a friend of the program. That's why it kind of happens. And thank you, Archangel says, that's why you're so handsome. Wow, you guys are touching me, leaving me touch this late hour. Real quick, looking in the comments. Thank you for the super chat. Philip Allen McCracken. What that says, I'm assuming you're saying Obama. He has ordered the unaliving of American citizens in another country we aren't at war with. No new wars. Stop the dying. Now, the droning of an American citizen overseas in reference to Obama you're talking about, I gotta assume that the right is only using that because Obama did it. I mean, if an American citizen goes to a war zone and takes the side of the opponent and we take that person out, who's gonna have a problem with that? Now, if Obama had let that individual continue, let's say, for instance, that individual that went, because we're talking about a guy who went over into the Middle East and actually operated on behalf of ISIS. That's who Obama droned and took his life. Let's say, for instance, Obama received a call from one of our drone operators and stated, we have this guy in our sights. We need your permission to take him out. And Obama started saying, no, that's an American citizen. We can't do anything. And then you find out that guy was involved in a terrorist act that took the lives of some Americans. You're going to tell me the right wouldn't be blaming Obama for not taking his life? I mean, he's fighting on behalf of ISIS. He clearly means to harm Americans. So now, because he takes the guy out, we use it as a way to target Obama, knowing that even if Trump did it or Bush did it, we'd be favorable. I don't think that's good criticism of Obama. And there's a lot to criticize Obama on, but taking out an American that's overseas in a war zone, posing a threat to our troops, he put the quarter in the jukebox. He deserves a dance for that. No mercy. You're going to go to a war zone, trade on your country, and actually sign up with the enemy? I mean, whatever happens, happens. And we're going to actually fault Obama for taking that guy out? Really? Like I said, there's a hell of a lot of things you can criticize Obama on, but that starts to look like you're getting really petty, just trying to find whatever. Because if Trump did it, you'd be 100% behind that shit. If Bush did it, you'd be 100% behind it. That's crazy to even bring that up. We are in a proxy war with Russia and other countries right now. That is true. That is true. By the way, Trump, and I see somebody, Philip Allen McCracken said, why a kid? I believe he was an adult. He might have been 18, 19, but he was a grown man over there fighting on behalf of ISIS. He was a grown man. He wasn't like a 6-year-old. But like I said, if you were so dedicated to joining ISIS and being an enemy to the West that you are going to go to their country and join their ranks to fight against us and our allies, you kind of deserve what's coming to you. No mercy, as they would say on Cobra Kai. No mercy. And the fact that you're in America, you can't get away with that. It's crazy that folks would suggest blaming Obama for doing that. That's insane. You can't pick and choose when you want to be tough on crime. I'm fine with being tough on crime, but when it's somebody I don't like Kamala Harris being tough on crime, or Biden's crime bill, then we're going to fault them for being tough on crime because we don't like them. Knowing damn well if one of your allies did it, you'd favor it. That's playing politics. That's being petty. Anyhow, folks, I do absolutely appreciate the 155,000 likes. I didn't solicit it. I probably could have got to 200,000 if I had asked you folks to tap the screen. I do appreciate that. By the way, this is an uncensored program, uncensored format. That is how we run the program. We are MAGA friendly, whether it's making America great, if I got that behind me, or keeping America great, which is a little bit deflated since this is his old campaign. We are MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. That's how the program's been ran from day one. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you for your opinion, you're in the right place. I'd implore you to follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. That's how we operate. We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with QAnon. Everyone gets to speak. And real quick in the comments, Mark Croson says, what do you think of the stolen valor? I don't think it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things. I do believe there is a valid case to be made that it is. I mean, he talked about carrying a rifle in a war zone, and he's never been deployed to a war zone. It's a valid argument, but I think it's on a technicality. And I'm not defending Tim Walz. I'm confirming that I do believe there is a case to be made for the stolen valor. But like I said many times throughout the program, you can't go after him for lying, and his opposition is Trump. I mean, I know more about COVID than anybody. I know more about the war on the ground than the generals. I mean, if you're going to excuse Trump for all these outlandish statements, but you're going to hold Tim Walz accountable, that just looks like hypocrisy. I'm willing to admit that Tim Walz, that sounds like a legitimate case, at least on a mild level of stolen valor. But his opposition is Trump. Trump says wild things that are not true all the time. So all of a sudden, Tim Walz can't do it? So that's my humble opinion. I don't think at the end of the day it's going to matter. Now, if Trump was some squeaky clean Mike Pence type guy, you might have more of a case. But Trump exaggerates. I mean, Sharpie markers trying to change the direction of hurricanes. I mean, Trump don't say a lot of wild things that folks say are taken out of context, or you didn't mean that, it was a joke. And all of a sudden Tim Walz comes along and suddenly he's going to be held to a different standard. That's probably not going to work. Thanks for everything you do, Tim. We need more of you. Dita Ramsey, I do appreciate that. And somebody says, what about Trump's valor? Oh, and that's a whole nother argument to the bone spurs and all of that. That's another argument to be made. Nevertheless, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, 1,300 hours, Monday through Friday. I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon, unless breaking news pops in, and we'll be on tomorrow evening as well. Take care. Same thing with you folks on YouTube. I want to make sure I didn't miss any wild ass comments I like to get. Trump is not a saint for sure, but I put his record against Kamala's any day. Well, Kamala doesn't have a record. That's actually a good thing for Trump and a bad thing for Trump, because if you put Kamala's record against Trump, there's just a lot of empty spaces. I mean, the borders you can bring that up against her. But it really, there's a whole bunch of areas you really don't know what Kamala's going to do. Whereas you can kind of fill in the blank for Trump on just about every area. And all of them are not good. So there's things that he's been known to be good on, like the economy. But some of the strict abortion bans that are coming down because of him, that's not helping him out. So you can put his record against hers, but depends on who you're talking to. That may not be a good thing for him, or it may be great. Vote for the party or who is best fit. Ricky Brown, that is spot on. That is a spot on comment. I agree with that 100%. I disagree with Lars Bambi in the comments saying she slept her way to the top. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. There's evidence that she had an affair or whatever the case may be 30, 40 years ago. And then there's no evidence of it happening anymore after that. So she didn't sleep her way to the top. She climbed several different positions, and there's no evidence that she continued getting promoted due to sexual exploits. That's just, that's just insulting and making up stuff. Maggots, not MAGA, but maggots, disgusting animals. You know, that kind of remind me of Home Alone, you filthy animal. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, or whatever the hell you want to call me. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m., 1300